Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and today I'm joined by regular co-host Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Ben. How are you?
I'm very well. How the devil are you?
I am the devil very well. Thanks very much.
I'm the devil. Very good, thank you.
Yeah. Getting
Um,
ready for a little trip this week. Ready for this weekend?
what? Where are you going? Oh, of course, I know that. We'll come to that. We're joined by a very special guest. Neil Fraser is a multi-award-winning poster and key artist for movies and more. Welcome to the show, Neil. Hello.
Hi guys, hey Ben, hey Andy, how's it going?
Oh,
Very well,
good.
thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's Monday, but
Well,
we're surviving.
we like
Yeah,
to
we're
end
surviving.
Monday. End
The
Monday
horrors
with
persist, but so do we, as they say.
we like to end Monday with a lovely exclamation point of a lovely horror discussion, you know?
Yeah.
Makes it a little bit easier to digest
I
those.
tell you what, though, you know what's not easy to digest, Ben and Neil? The amount of jealousy I'm feeling for those of you on video. Neil's room here is absolutely chockers with the coolest stuff,
What would you what
including many posters of your own design, right?
Yeah, you have to have a self-promotion wall.
Of course.
not just a
Yeah.
self-promotion wall, you gotta be proud of this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's now something I do full time. So,
Oh yeah, man.
it's created a world where I don't have to go to the office anymore, so I can't
Absolutely,
complain.
The dream.
absolutely fantastic.
Well, so far, let's say that never say never, but at the minute, I'm keeping my head above water.
If you're a horror fan, you're definitely gonna recognize Neil's work. It's all over the bloody place, isn't it? In a good way.
Yeah, I mean, not as many places I want it to be, but I I'm known within a lot of circles, but it's there's just varying sort of. It's frustrating because it doesn't matter how many people you know, and some of the people I know are like my heroes and they're amazing, but they can't make them put my work in the cinema, So that's so frustrating. It's like how I know I've got the director of this massive film. Even he can't because it's all done by agencies and salespeople, and the amount of kind of juggling you have to do, sort of, to try and get your work anywhere. It's people very rarely will just come up and say,
I guess, would you say illustrated poster art is underused? I guess it's something that was very, very popular, obviously, in the like 70s, 80s. Is it Drew Struzan?
John Alvin, he's my
John
hero.
Alvin, yeah. Obviously great, absolutely amazing work. But I feel like illustrated poster art, especially when it's like the official poster, sometimes you get like alternate posters and they're illustrated. But I think when it's the official poster, it gives it a certain something that makes that film feel like already a classic, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Is that...
even I think even recently there has been a slight resurgence in that style poster, which is great. But the real mainstream ones still, a lot of it's contractual. So
the real mainstream ones love doing a series of floating heads.
it's contractual. It's contractual. So
Oh,
basically,
literally. Oh my
this is
God.
how it works. So when an actor gets booked on, their agent, there's whole arguments about who has to be what size, what position on the poster, where their names go, which is half the reason why sometimes the names don't match
Yeah,
where, because they're
that is
contractually
confusing.
obliged to have to put the name there, even if they put the. So I
So
did it.
completing the puzzle is it's like a logic
Yeah,
puzzle in itself, right? So
which,
this
which
name
is
has to be at this size and it must
which
be
has
at a
caused
different
me
angle.
has caused me a lot of problems before on like multi ensemble bits that I've had to do where we've gone from like an initial idea that was like basically had four people in it. I'm not going to name the film. The film's great and everybody in it is great. But so what happened was you have the main sort of characters, there were four of them, full body ones, and then it was like, oh, we need to add in so and so. Now we need to add in so and so. Oh, now somebody, this other guy's come in. He's now contractually obliged to be bigger. So you end up sort of
Oh
just,
God.
I ended up with like 15, 16 people on it.
Oh my God.
And it's getting a hand now because, yeah, it's all contractual, which is why you see a lot of companies now. They'll release the official poster, but they'll also release five or six official posters.
Yeah,
Good
like the sort
posters.
of the character posters. I think we've literally just
Yeah,
got that today for The Last of Us. We've literally got every Last of Us character full face as a poster. You know, it is cool, especially when you got like big
yeah. I
stars.
mean, they do also they also hire agencies who then would contract people like me to do official work via. So I've worked with Disney before, but that was via Glass Eye, which is an agency that worked for Disney. So you end up sort of doing I do a lot of my proper official stuff I've done for social media um, for Disney or for you Sky or whoever. So you get to do official work through this kind of roundabout way because Disney themselves will only hire. There's only like 2 agencies they will hire, and within those agencies, they have their set list of 6 or 7 artists that just do everything, and it's
Mm.
kind of gets a bit boring when you know the
Hard
same
nut to
5
crack,
people
right?
are going to do the same bit of art and just
Mm.
lovely art, but it's the same bit of art for every single film. Just let somebody else have a go.
Is there? Well, first of all, actually, I'll ask you, how did you get into doing this particular thing? I mean, I guess you were an artist illustrator before, and then this just became something you specialized in. Is that more or less how it happened?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I'd always said to my dad, I want to be in movies. I want to work in movies. Like that's always been my big thing. I wanted to work in special effects. That was my like growing up. That was my I wanted to work in practical effects so bad, and I tried everything. I used to live near Pinewood Studios, so I used to I used to try and get in there and try and speak to people back in the before internet days. Like you physically had to go and knock on the doors and send letters
Mm.
and all sorts. And I ended up I was so frustrated. I finally got in with them, and I ended up meeting the guy who was the cameraman for the Walking with Dinosaurs back in the
Oh
90s.
Oh,
wow.
nice, classic.
And he was like, "You can, if you want, you can come. We're going to be doing the second series. Do you want to sort of come and tag along and everything?" But I ended up having an accident and I hurt my back, which ended up destroying any kind of
No.
sort of halted my career completely. And then, so it was always like, I want to work in movies. Then it was kind of, I want to be a cameraman. So I went to sort of did filming. I was a videographer. Went to a big place up in Coventry. Went to the BBC. Worked at a big training facility for a bit up in near Birmingham. And again, it just didn't quite fulfill what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a bit more creative with it,
Mm.
and then kind of just settled into adult life, working as a graphic designer. So I was a graphic designer. I worked for Yellow Pages for a decade, just doing the little adverts for the book, and then moving on to online stuff when they went on to yo.com. And then I left to work in marketing. So I was a graphic designer for a marketing company, and then left to be a working licensing. So I ended up working with Disney, and I did loads of stuff for Star Wars and DC, and getting to do all the products and merchandise, which was amazing fun, great to do, but just didn't feel like a job for a adult kind of, unless you were managing. It was kind of it felt like kind of a, I was approaching 40, and I was like, I love doing it, but I've got to do something else. So
Yeah.
I went off to be a grown up and work in corporate design for 5 or 6 years. And it wasn't really to the pandemic where I'd started getting into it and trying to like practice and putting a few bits out, but I didn't have the time because I used to travel an hour and a half each way to work, so you just didn't have the time. And then like, where do you start to try and even like, I want to get to
Yeah.
poster design and do that? There isn't. I like a lot of people I speak to, like kids and things. They're like, "Well, how do you start?" I don't know. I honestly don't know. It was one of those. I sort of did a few, and then obviously when the pandemic happened, I was saving 3 hours a day, so I could actually like get into it. And I decided that what I was doing wasn't getting anywhere,
Mm.
so I tried to be more direct, like going back to the old ways of knocking on doors. So it was okay. Well, I'm in lockdown, but then so are the directors, so are the art directors, so are the producers, so are the
Yeah.
actors. They're all in lockdown as well. So I just started reaching out and spoke to. There's a friend of a friend, so there's a friend of mine in America who put me onto his mate, who Jed Bryan, who is a filmmaker, and did a few things for free. Just sort of just trying, like, what I wanted to do was just kind of learn what they're looking for, how it works. I was like, I just want to do something for your film, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, and get some feedback on what they were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then he put me on to Giles Alderson, as a British filmmaker who did The Dare, and he did one of the King Arthur films. He's done a few things now. And again, I just bounced a few things off him, and he seemed to be quite receptive to what I was doing. And he said, "Have you heard of this? There's a guy called Jed Shepherd who's going to do big things, and like he's putting out a film this summer.
Yeah,
It's
nice.
2020. So there's a film coming out this summer. Do you want, why didn't you speak to him?" So I sent him a message on Twitter. He got back to me, and we were sort of having a back and forth. He put me onto the producer post, sent me a few images. I came up with the host poster. I think I sent it to them all on like the Thursday or the Friday. The film came out on Monday. By like Wednesday, it just gone nuts. Like the film went absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
Dragged me along with it. Like
Yeah.
Within a week, I had people like Kelly Maroney in my DMs and Barbara Crampton, and they just what's going on? And that was the kind of my complete breakthrough was that, and then I got introduced to all these kind of other filmmakers, and I've just kind of been around in those kind of circles.
Yeah, I'm building up quite a portfolio of work as well.
Yeah, I mean, I never recommend doing stuff for free to anyone. Never do anything for free, but I did.
Yeah,
but
it's one of those things, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
think...
Maybe you feel differently. There's a difference between you being interested in getting a bit of feedback and you're coming to the table with what you would like out of this versus, I know, particularly in art communities, there is sometimes a raised eyebrow when a huge corporate goes, "Hey, competition. If you go away and design us a free poster, this could be the poster that we use, and I'll send you a goodie bag."
No, I never ever do spec work. If somebody asks for spec work, say no. So basically, when they say, because it happened with was it Steve Alton that did the Meg books?
Oh, okay.
He sent me an email. Name dropping already. He sent me an email. I think we were chatting, and he said, be interested into maybe doing something for one of my new books. But first, and he basically said, "How about you do some designs we may or may not use for T-shirts and logos and things?" No, sorry, mate, that's not happening. You either hire me or you don't. Like, I'm not into spec work. I mean,
and there's a big difference, right? Like, if there is something, I get it in any kind of creative industry. If there is something that you're paying someone to do concept work for, and you're paying them for, the little slice of the pie that's going to be in your pitch documents, and then it may become a big job, or it may become this is all we did, but you are still being paid for the bit you did. It's
I mean, I'm happy to do discounts on certain things. Like if somebody sort of there's a couple of times where I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll do this for." There's a couple of things that have been going through Kickstarters and crowdfunding, and I've gone like, "I tell you what, I'll do it for nothing." On provision that if you hit your goal, I'll get paid. Because then that's kind of I'm investing in it as well.
It's like an investment. Then it's not hey, this was free, and then I could do that, or I could choose this guy to do the big one once I've got the money in my hand.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of times it's gone wrong, and I have they didn't hit the target, so I didn't get paid. But most of the time, if you do something like that, or I'll do something as a discount, or I'm a massive advocate of indie film. I love indie film. Just that kind of passion to get something done.
Yeah, DIY element as well. Isn't it?
This has been our year of indie films so far on the show, Ben. I think we've covered more independent stuff. I mean, we've always done it for a while, but I think this year's really taken off. We've met more independent filmmakers this year that are in the crowdfunding process, that are in production. It's been really fun.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask you, Neil, what is your A, favorite project you worked on? And B, what's your most challenging project?
Oh my God.
Sounds like a job interview. Eh? When's the time that you were challenged and you overcome said challenge?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
How many framed pictures are going to be on your wall in 5 years? They'll all be You'll have hundreds, but they'll all be
Well, I've now
A6.
I've now changed. So basically, I only have signed stuff up here now. So whenever I've
Okay,
met
I
anybody,
see.
so I've
I
got
see.
my Ghost Watcher Sarah Green asked for a copy, so I got.
Oh,
I'll tell you what,
wow.
I send two, and can you send me one back?
Your Ghost Watch artwork, what was that used for?
That was for the AMP posters, 1992,
Yeah.
2020. Well, 2022 is 30 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think they haven't
30th
done one
anniversary.
since. It's a bit annoying, but yeah, I was like, as soon as I went, I said, "What happened in 1992?" When they sort of said, "Do you want to be involved?" And just
I
look,
can see,
Ghost Watch.
I can see the Descent poster as well, the one where it's like it's
Yes,
the face of the creeper, isn't it, with them
yes.
kind of climbing. Yeah. Again, a great concept. And again, perhaps one that I would look at and not necessarily always attribute to you. So it's always a nice surprise when I
It's
go,
not.
this
It's
is
not.
great. And then I go, oh, and it's Neil's as well. Awesome.
It's not my usual thing that I do. It was one of those. I get a bit out of my station every now and again, like, and I'll be like, "Oh, I tell you what, I want to do something different." And that one just sort of. Sometimes I do them and realise why I don't do them very often, because they're just awful. I've got folders and folders and folders of semi-finished work that's just dreadful.
Yeah.
And yeah, that just came together like really, really well. And then I ended up. I sold it to met Neil Marshall, and then I did a Dog Soldiers one as well.
Yeah.
And he ended up asking if he could put them in his official store and stuff. So that turned them from unofficial to official work.
Yeah.
Then I sold it to Telos Publishing. So there's the making of the Descent for the anniversary book is coming out in May.
Yeah,
that's going to be the cover. So.
Sure is.
I had to adjust it slightly and add some things in, but essentially it's the same.
That's the same. Wait, that's the same book we know about, right, Andy?
That's me, right?
The one that Janine wrote. Janine
yeah, the one with Janine.
There we go. I didn't want to.
All the pieces
drastically wrong.
Yeah. This is where we learn about a rival publication.
We've come full circle because you had Janine on.
Real deep impact Armageddon situation.
Did I bypass what your answers were to those questions, Neil? Sorry, your favourite and your.
Oh, sorry.
You gave him time to think, Ben. That's what you did.
We got way sidetracked, didn't we? My favourite thing. It's hard because like I owe everything to the host one I did. Like I literally wouldn't have had a career. I mean, it's probably not even going too far to say that at that point in my life, I was probably at my lowest point. We were in lockdown. My wife she was really sick with COVID, so she was isolating in another room. I was then sort of banished to the living room, where I was stuck on my own this was back when you had to, for like a month, you had to isolate.
Yeah.
And I was so down, and then this all happened, and it kind of it certainly turned a corner in what I was going through. So I mean that to be honest, one that I've just done that's just been released with Entertainment is the new Terrifier VHS tape. That's
I've seen this.
Yeah. Purely because I've been so close to working on Terrifier stuff 3 or 4 times, and I got dropped, or it just didn't work out, or I've been so desperate to work on Terrifier for at least 2 years now, and then finally got it to happen. So I think that as a personal accomplishment, and personally had to be signed off by Damien Leone anyway. He said, yeah. So either that, or actually really out of left field one, something I did a couple of months back. I got asked, I won't ever get credited with it, but I had to draw Eric Cartman as a cyborg for Trey Parker for the merchandise that's coming out. So that had to go all the way up through the chain, to get signed off by both of them. And because I did it via a third party, I'll never ever get the credit for it. But
that sucks.
If I ever see it out, I'll know it.
We've got it recorded now. This is IMDb trivia waiting to happen, Neil.
Well, I did. just as a little inside joke for me, you know, with all the pipes and things that go onto the cyborgs, I did it onto his nipples. So I thought that might have been a nice little joke. But,
A lovely little touch.
yeah. So I mean, the most challenging one. There's been a few. Not challenging in terms of getting it right for me. That's tricky. I mean, there's a few things that just constant amends, or you get that kind of, oh, this is really good, this is so close, this is beautiful, and then you get literally, I've had a 15-minute voice message.
Oh no.
Changes.
Is the worst feedback when you think something's spot on and somebody says, "This is great" as a start, and then you just go, "Oh no."
I've had is this it? I've had a message about, so is this it? I'm like, well, if you want it to be.
Oh, no.
I think there was actually, no, it was one of the first few gigs I did, because obviously the advice that I would always give to people is never show that you don't know what you're doing, because nobody knows what they're doing. But the quicker you realize that, the further you're going to go in your career. It's like, don't be afraid, because nobody knows what they're doing. It doesn't matter how many I've met, you know, actors, directors, producers, other artists, none of us know what we're doing at any point. It's literally, you're flying by the seat of your pants constantly.
Yeah. And no one knows it all, you know? No
this
one knows
is the
it all.
world.
But there are people that think they do, obviously. But back when I first started, obviously, I'd only done like 2 or 3 paid gigs, and I was like trying to pretend I sort of knew what I was doing. I had this guy who was just horrid. Like, it was a real sort of baptism of fire. This kind of guy was he was awful, like absolutely awful to deal with. And I was really trying not to lose my rag with him, and he ended up firing me from it, but paid me and fired me. I was like, that's probably the best.
It's probably the best lucky
That's the best
escape.
of
I
luck.
got paid and then got.
Yeah, but the thing is, I had nothing to work with. He gave me 2 screenshots that were blurred of the actors, because it was all done back when every film had to be filmed via Zoom, because Host did well, so everybody else decided they were going to do it.
Yeah.
Forgetting the fact that Host wasn't filmed via Zoom. Host was filmed via cameras, made to look
you
like
put the framework over the top.
He filmed it all on Zoom, and it was all like pixelated, and like, he wanted these. You know, I work at 16 by 24 inch artwork, which is massive. And he wanted me to do this post, and he was like, "Oh yeah, but there's no details." Like, there's no detail to pick out, mate. I can't. I'm guessing what these people look like, basically.
Like, can you give me?
There's no 4K restoration of that film coming anytime soon.
No, actually, there's one I've done recently that I love doing, but it has been properly checked. So I'd say that for me personally, that to get it right, there's I'm not allowed to say I've signed the thing, but it's for a film from 1980. 1981 or 1989. It was either 81 or 89. It was an old film, and there is no copies of this film unless you buy it on DVD. There is a 240p cut of it on YouTube.
Oh God!
And that's it. So they're doing this restoration, and they're going to release it. And it was like, I don't know where to start. So I mean, I did one version. Basically, I had to go into these old film archives and pick out. I found some old set photos.
Oh my God!
A couple of people, but even though
deep dive.
Yeah, it took me forever to find anything, and then it just didn't look right. And then they wanted it changed, and then we ended up asking me to recreate the original cover, but kind of updated, which kind of helped. And luckily, the images I had, combined it with some stock imagery and repainted it, and kind of, I haven't heard anything, so I'm hoping that it goes through. But
hoping they're blown away.
Although now you've got me setting I think I could do like my best detective work I've ever done. I would not publish it, even if I 100% worked it out. But I'd be like, right, a film made in either this year or this year. It's available on YouTube, but no
anytime in between.
There is less than 0.1% chance you would guess what film it is. It's not a film that
Don't challenge him. Don't challenge him. He's going to go away. He'll surprise you.
Now, not suggesting that I'm the foremost detective of my generation, but...
Or
am I? Jonathan Creek himself.
Yeah.
I'd love to see if you do get what it is, but if I
You'll
could
need more
barely find
clues. We'll
anything
get more
online,
clues. We'll get more clues from you off pod.
yeah, I had the name of the film and I still couldn't find anything online about
Oh
it.
yeah, God,
I'm going to write down the clues that I have on a napkin.
do it. Right.
I'll be murdered now, and this will be like the clue that comes.
Okay. So before we move on, I'm going to ask you, Neil, what is your horror Mount Rushmore? Mount Rush horror. That's right. So you can include four. It can be pretty much anything. I mean, actually, here I'm gonna spin on its head, Andy. How do you feel about this? Excited? Terrified? Your
8 things
four.
that are not scary at all.
No, 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 no,
Not that
no.
much of an opposite.
Mount Rush horror of your four favorite ever horror movie film posters.
Okay.
Good suggestion, Andy. Are you feeling
It's
that?
fine. It's good.
It's fine. It's just
I
fine.
mean, that's highest praise in my world. We're an emotionally flat
forgot.
people.
The poster for me that started kind of everything was the John Alvin Gremlins poster from. Used to have that on my wall when I was a kid, which
Yeah.
is the one with the holding the box.
Yeah, little hand coming
Iconic.
up. Yeah,
Iconic.
And fully illustrated to the like when you really kind of analyze it, the detail that's in that button is just insane. Like the man was an absolute genius. To be honest, they're all going to be John Alvin posters. But so basically that obviously ET again. These are the two posters that I grew up kind of wishing I could. I wanted, that's I always wanted to be an artist. I always wanted to.
The Gremlins one's a good choice because I feel like that is the best poster for you. Could know nothing about that film and you're just immediately intrigued. Just like I can't remember what's the tagline on the poster. It says a few. It said like, a few words to describe like
the rules, isn't it?
the Gremlins.
I think it is the rules.
There's definitely one I've seen where it's like, oh, cute, mischievous, and then the last word is dangerous. You're like, oh, right, what's going on here then? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a here it is here. Cute, clever, mischievous, intelligent, dangerous. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
just words to describe you, Andy.
Yeah, never been so mischievous.
So that, and then ET. Part of me, kind of not certainly a horror film as such, but
as an alien, we'll let you have it.
There's a scene in there that everybody remembers that scared the
when he turns into White Dog Crew and then the spaceman come.
I just don't like. I was always scared by the noises that ET made when he was like in peril or something. Like, hated it.
I'm going to say one of my other favorites is the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 poster that Graham Humphries did. Just incredible piece of art with the. I've got it above me.
Is it with the mirror reflection?
No, so you've got
different one.
You've got Freddy doing this, and then you got the bus, and you got the trees.
Oh, okay.
No, I remember which one you mean. I'm pretty sure it's on the. It's on the cover of his book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I recognize that one now.
Yeah, I did about a year ago exactly. I was on stage with Graham doing we were down in Great Yarmouth at Sci-Fi Weekend last year, and we got to do a panel together.
That's so
cool. So I've got a signed version of his book around here somewhere. But he's always been like a massive kind of inspiration, and because to have sort of getting to know him and stuff, it took him like you think, oh, he's done all this thing, and it's like he really like struggled to get anywhere. Like I think he said he was like 50 before he actually made it self-sustainable. And it was kind of, he gave me some great insights into how he works and bit of the business, and he's such a nice guy as well. So really fun to spend the weekend with him and stuff. That was great.
One more?
Yeah. I'm going to go one that I just adore, which is the 13 Ghost poster.
Talking Ben's language, he loves 13 Ghosts.
I love 13 Ghosts.
13 Ghosts.
13 Ghosts. The one with all the faces?
Yeah, I love that. Because it's something that's kind of, unique as well. It's not something that you see copied that often either. It's like you see a lot of.
It's a prime like early 2000s DVD cover when you didn't really need to know much about the film and you just see the cover and you go, oh yeah, I want to watch that.
Yeah, they were sort of big onto that kind of they just telling you it's got horror and stuff in it. That's like
yeah,
the
like,
face made of
watch
all the
my film.
faces is good.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean that's kind of part of the job. Like part of my job is to kind of trick people into watching a film that they might ordinarily not pick when they're going through video on demand and like back in the old days when I used to go to Blockbuster, you go into the VHS and horror section and you just see all these beautiful cover arts, which had very little to do with the actual film. They were just like amazing. You pick something based on the cover.
That bit don't even bloody happen in the film.
Yeah,
but you don't know until the credits roll. So there you go, tricked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love all that. So I mean, I could have given you 4 John Alvin ones to be honest. I mean, like, I think like Arachnophobia. That poster is
that's
just
iconic.
like.
It's a lovely
story
just
for
a
another
lovely
time. I'm going to have to
sunset.
think of posters for myself that I would choose as my form. Maybe we'll do that as another activity in the future, Ben.
Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe a little bonus episode even, Ben. We'll talk about our favourite horror posters.
Our favourite horror posters.
Getting stuck in now. Bags.
See,
Return of the Living Dead 3.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
My lifelong goal is to be on one of these lists one day. But,
there we go. Let's do it, Andy. Let's include the host poster just because we can.
Yeah, we can, and then it would help Neil fulfill his dream.
Lifelong goal. Yeah. Okay. So brilliant. Thanks for sharing so much with us, Neil. That was very, very insightful. Into
Yeah, that was great. That was really exciting, and like I think actually, if people now you have this potted response, if people do come and ask you, how do you get started in this video? You can just give them a QR code and say, listen to this.
Watch the first 30 minutes of this podcast. I lay it all out. Laid
you got it.
Yeah, I mean, number one, get very, very lucky. I think same with everything. It's timing. Like there is a lot. I mean, I know far, far, far more talented people than me that get aren't really getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it
sadly it is a point, isn't it? You have to be very good and you have to be lucky.
It starts with a bit of luck, but I feel like you've also got to have the tools to then follow through on that luck because some people might get lucky and then.
I'm not going to sugarcoat. It is hard work. Like the constant kind of so basically, my day job is doing work that people are paying me. On top of that, I have to be working social media. Basically, I have to then do art just for the hell of it. So I've got something to post and promotion.
Yeah. Then you've got to land the next thing, do the business side of that.
Yeah. Plus the amount of emails I have to send out every sort of few months I send out emails to distribution companies and sales agents, and talking like 150 odd emails. And I only found out this year that you could actually just put all the email addresses into one email address and it will send them all. I was doing it individually up until this year, and realised that. Well, hang on, I could just put it all into one.
Made that mistake.
The efficiency gains. They just imagine that big hit.
Yeah,
I know. So, sorry. Go on, Neil.
No, I was just it's you have to keep fighting to stay relevant because you will get forgotten about very, very quickly if you're not doing.
Hence why we do a bloody weekly podcast, eh? And all right, Andy.
Yeah. We turn up everybody week.
Don't forget about us, please. Okay, got a couple of bits of horror news just to briefly discuss before we talk about the film of the week. John Carpenter's getting a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. How exciting! About bloody time, right? But yeah, that should be great. I think it's happening early April, and it's going to be in front of the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, 7000 Hollywood Boulevard. Horror fans are going to be flocking, I'm sure, to there to get a photo of that. How exciting! I don't know if you guys also saw, but John Carpenter was like not forced into, but kind of like was put on the spot and agreed to be to score the next Bong Joon-ho movie,
film.
which is a horror movie.
I read about that today actually, that he was doing that. I didn't know about the star though.
Yeah, so there we go. So looking forward to both of those things happening. But yeah, Bong Joon-ho as a horror movie director. Well, I know he made The Host, right? Didn't
Yeah,
he?
he did The Host.
He did The Host, which obviously is a horror movie, I guess. Which is
And
probably a film we
Parasite
should cover on
is
here.
heavy,
Parasite,
like thriller vibe. Maybe not a direct horror
yeah,
film, but it's not out of the realms
no,
of that.
no. But looking forward to that anyway. We should cover it. We should do The Host on the show, Andy.
Yeah,
We'll
I'm
do like
surprised we haven't.
I'm surprised we haven't as well. Yeah, that's good news. Two bits of good news. Potentially a bit of bad news. Maybe for some, probably for a lot of people. Saw 11. Is it game over for Saw 11? This is really weird because I thought Saw 10 did really well. I thought
It did, isn't this behind the scenes squabbling?
behind the scenes squabbling. A source says it's totally dead. It's 100% over. Nothing's happened on it for almost a year now. What the hell bloody way happened? Everything went sideways in January 2024. The producers started fighting. I wanted physical fights. I think the Saw trap should be this. I reckon Jigsaw is coming back from the dead, and he's just
I
going to
reckon
be.
he becomes nice in this one.
I reckon he
Like
becomes nice. I
Terminator
reckon
2.
his head's going to be in a mannequin body like Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You
No, I
watch
don't think
that.
so. Bang, punched, and then
Yeah.
that was it. What's going on, right? Because I feel like Scream 7, my hype, the hype train for that for me has completely died because of all the behind the scenes stuff and them sacking people. And now Saul, what are you doing? I mean, it's just why don't they just go right? Producers argued, did they? That's all right. We got some other producers. Here they are.
Yeah, you two, you guys replaced. Or,
To
you know,
be to be
need
honest,
to,
from what I've experienced, that's all producers do is argue.
All right, okay. They
I've
love
been
it.
in
They
the
love
middle
it.
with a few of them.
what you want to do is get the producers' moms in, chop the film in half. One of your cuts. One of the producers makes the cut, and then the other
Yeah.
one gets to choose which half of the film they want to be in charge of.
Yeah, and then that's the next two films, Saw 11 and 12.
Yeah.
But as it stands, the series has a number of dangling plot strands left to be tied up. Of course it bloody does. Even if the plot threads of Saw were tied up, they wouldn't be. It would
Yeah,
be like,
exactly.
oh, yeah,
The
hang on a minute.
day that old John Jigsaw got his cancer diagnosis, he immediately started recording little dictaphone tapes and made sure
Oh,
he's got
yeah.
thousands of hours.
And going around setting traps all over the US. But
Does
the
this
source
leave
concludes. Sorry,
Sorry, does
go on
this
now.
leave room for spin-offs? Like, was Spiral?
Spiral's a spin off, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, Spyro was a spin-off.
So I
That's
guess
not technically chronological, is it? That's
no,
kind
No.
of
Jigsaw.
I think it was an attempted reboot. I think if it had gone
Yeah.
down better, we'd be chockers with the Chris Rock mysteries.
the
Saw the Chris Rock mysteries.
the young years of Chris Rock when he just had a baseball cap on. Like, he's young here. Is he a 60-year-old man?
He
Maybe
goes
not.
out to find out whether there is indeed no sex in the champagne room or not.
But the final line here, the source concludes, greed and ego won. Well, not really, because if these people are so greedy, they'd make the bloody film and get all the lovely, tasty profits.
Maybe the
But no.
concept of greed won, meaning that we, like an Alien
Oh.
versus Predator situation, unfortunately lost. Hey, I tell you what though,
Go on.
like as if I've just been possessed by the ghost of Wes Craven himself. What about we manage the reboot? Neil, you can help us with the design for this. We manage the reboot, Ben, and the story of it is Wes Craven's New Nightmare style. Saw a successful television franchise, a successful film franchise, which gets absolutely sunk by corporate greed. Then all those greedy corporate types, they get jigsaw trapped by a big fan.
Oh.
And this real life story that we're talking about now, that would effectively be the little documentary at the start of the Blair Witch, setting this up as potentially real.
This is fantastic. I love it, Andy. You've never had a bad idea.
That is a
and
billion-dollar franchise.
my one
Call
and
me
only-
Lee.
My one and only acting credit is doing this exact thing for the director's cut of a film called Unlisted Owner. I got asked to do a fake podcast intro as a guest. I never knew wooden acting could be so wooden until I saw me on it. Oh my God.
You saw yourself.
But the
Oh,
thing is, I'm the first thing you see in the film, and the first thing you see in the trailer, and I'm also the first thing you see in the film. So why would you use all your talent up front? Like, don't go with your strongest stuff. Like,
Yeah,
save me for like the middle or
people
something.
say it's
So,
wooden. Just
that
say that's what
mid
that's what I was
mid bit
going for.
lull.
So in a way,
Yeah.
I'm a successful actor.
to be fair, it's an American film. I was the only British guy at the thing, so maybe I'm hoping that all America just that's just what English people are like.
They
So
just go,
Yeah.
British fella. He's got
Absolutely
it. He's got
accurate.
it down to a T. This British fella's doing a British
it's got
accent really well.
yeah, great British accent.
Um,
Yeah, that's my
last.
new. I'm going to start working on this. Get straight onto Lionsgate tomorrow.
How exciting! I sound sarcastic. I am excited, Andy. You know that. I've always
Yeah.
got get on to
Well,
find
get
those
Josh get Josh
producers.
Stolberg on it as well. He's the original writer, wasn't he? So
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. There
maybe
you
he
go.
knows what's going on. Actually, it
It's
might be
it's
worth
not
hitting
my
up.
it's not my favorite franchise in the world, but I will still say, pull your bloody finger out, people, and sort it out. Okay, so apart from that, we've got what we've been watching. So anything in the last 7 days or so that anyone's seen that they wanted to recommend or talk about at all. Neil, have you seen anything recently? What's your most recent horror movie watch?
Ironically, we watched Saw 2 and
Oh
Saw
wow.
This
10.
is irony. You know,
Um,
did you feel like arguing with someone about the direction of the franchise?
yeah. To be honest, they all feel just like one film. It's just like
Just a very long single film.
Yeah.
which one was the one where he, it's like,
Oh God.
but what have I watched recently? Do you know, I kind of watch so much that it's just kind of
A big blur.
I just kind of zone out. Like when I'm working, I go onto these sort of YouTube rabbit holes where you
Yeah.
find a playlist of 90s, 80s films, horror films, and then you
Oh
just
yeah,
put it
yeah,
on,
yeah.
and then I just sit here working. And I'm watch Warlock actually. That was
Oh yeah.
Oh, Warlock's
Andy loves
great.
Warlock.
And Warlock 2, a
Warlock 2 is better.
sequel,
I
a
think Warlock 2 is
sequel
better.
to a Richard E. Grant led
Yeah,
fantasy horror film. It has no business going that hard. And then yet 10 minutes in, some poor woman gives birth to a fully adult-sized Julian Sands naked.
Jesus. Fully
Yeah.
adult size cesarean?
No, just it comes out of some sort of pocket dimension.
Oh, it's called a vagina, Andy.
No, not in this case. There's not that kind of capacity in your standard
Is
one,
it
Ben.
like a TARDIS?
Yeah. Probably
A
TARDIS in your
pocket
drawers, and
dimension.
then a Julian Sands comes out of it.
Oh, Julian Sands. What a
bless him.
legend.
Oh, I mean, we should definitely do those one of these days,
Yeah.
Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute
They got to
belters,
be on the
both of
list,
them.
man.
That and Witchboard 2, another
Yeah.
sequel of a similar era that shouldn't have gone as hard as it did, but absolutely pops.
I'll immediately go on to a sequel I've seen then, if that's okay, just to keep things ticking along nicely. I watched House 2. The second story is the
And you
tagline for
and you
it.
loved it, right?
It was absolutely mad. What's going on, right? Crystal skulls. Yeah. Um, like zombie cowboys, I guess. Dinosaurs are like half caterpillar, half dog creature. Just probably like the maddest stuff ever. I said to you, Andy, it's a bit like it reminds me of Jumanji. It's just like a kids' film, but it just happened to have some zombies in it. Have you seen House 2, Neil? Neil?
I've seen pretty much. See, going back to what we said before about posters that have got nothing to do with
Yeah.
the film. When I was at school, I used to see those the house and the house two kind of artworks, and I'd kind of convinced myself that that hand was in it. Like,
Yeah.
so when when you're a kid, you try and show off and like pretend you've seen horror films, like you'd make up like
I've seen it.
There's this. I would always say, yeah, you remember that bit with the hand, and it came out and it did all that. It was really funny. And then I
I find
actually
it
got
funny,
to
not
see it,
scary.
and I was like, oh, this isn't what
Yeah.
I thought it was at
Not
all.
a single severed hand rings a
I don't know.
doorbell.
I feel at least the first one like was kind of creepy and scary, and like it goes a bit is a bit Evil Dead in places, and but yeah, House 2. I mean, you're kind of it's difficult to even call it a horror movie, I would think, but it was enjoyable. You've seen it as well, haven't you, Andy?
Yeah, a long time ago.
A long
But
time ago.
yeah.
It's got a random appearance from Bill Mayer, like the talk show dude. what the hell's going on?
He went through a phase. He did go through a phase of always appearing in.
He just turns up, and do you know what he is? A massive grass in it. Do you remember? There's the main character's like ex-girlfriend or something turns up, and she's all like, "Oh, I've missed you," and she gives him a kiss on the lips. He then turns to his new girlfriend, who's like not looking, but Bill Maher like sees it all unfold, and he takes her off to one side and tells her,
Oh,
"What a grass! You bloody dirty
bloody
grass!
stirrer.
You bloody shit stirrer!" Yeah, it's
I kind
an
of get the feeling
absolutely
that's
mad
the sort
film.
of thing he would do, though.
Yeah, he's playing himself, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, some great effects in that, like really, really good. Like some, yeah, it's really impressive. It's a fun film. I also saw, oh, today, very topical. I watched Snow White: A Tale of Terror because there's a new Snow White film out, and I thought, you know what? Why not watch Snow White: A Tale of Terror, which I'm pretty sure I've seen before because I remember a lot about it, like Sigourney Weaver being the evil, what's she?
The
Evil
wicked,
queen,
the
wicked
wee
queen,
wicked
kind of a
stepmother
queen.
slash queen.
Sam Neill's in it, lovely head of hair in that. It's all right, you know. I feel like it could go in terms of like going, oh, it's a terrifying version of Snow White and it's a grim fairy tale, etc. It could have gone a lot harder than it did. The only real scary thing is when Sigourney Weaver like fully transforms into what I guess an old hag. But you know, um, it's all right. Apart from that, I'd rather watch that than the new Disney version, just simply because of the live action versions haven't been very good, have they? Well, they're kind of pointless because they're just all rehashes. But I love it when there's like some sort of like culture war or some sort of film is suddenly really controversial for some reason. One side of the political spectrum is getting irate about it. I go, oh, I want to watch it more now. I want to watch
Yeah,
it even
I
more.
really want to give this a shot.
I
No,
wanted to watch it at
apparently,
0, and now I want to watch it at 0.4. So there
yeah,
you
it
go.
seems to be doing okay. You know, turns
Yeah.
out like film for children is fine actually.
I
So
guess if you're not into it and you do fancy a slightly more adult version of it, not like that, Andy. Don't be dirty because you will find that as well if you have a look. Uh, if you have a look, I reckon I could find it in 2 Googles, maybe probably 1.
I've got it on my shelf. I'm just
Yeah, you got it on yourself. Got it on your shelf. Snow White and the Seven. Yeah, well, you know where we're going with that. Andy, I feel like I'm going to come to you next to ask you what you've been watching because I know exactly one thing you're gonna get me up to speed on.
I got one other thing to tell you about first. I've been watching a little bit
Yeah.
of stuff for Screams by the Sea this weekend. So obviously we're going to be doing some
I can't believe we
interviewing
didn't even
duties.
mention
So
that. We didn't
I'm
even mention that.
covering a few things ahead of that, ahead of this weekend. I tell you what, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out and you're around the South Coast on Saturday, probably
Saturday the
still got
29th.
time.
Not only will me and Andy be there on the media wall doing the media stuff, official duties. Neil's going to be there as well on official duties as as well. Maybe not.
I'll also be hawking my wares there, so
Yeah.
Hawking your wares. You're going to be doing a talk as well. You're involved in that as well. So
yes, we're going to be talking
that's
about
really exciting.
marketing your film. So if you're there, come along. I'm sure it sounds really interesting. Like Ruby, she does a lot of game marketing.
Yeah.
We've got the former Arrow film marketing guy as well. So it should be
Mm.
really interesting.
Yeah, so if you want some wares, some knowledge, some horror movies, to see us, if that doesn't put you off, and you are in or around Bournemouth this weekend in the UK, get yourself down on Saturday. I think there are
Yeah.
still a few
It's at
tickets available. So
Yeah, and it's at Pavilion Dance Southwest. It's only one day as well, so it's not a whole weekend of films, but there are how many films? 4, 5, 5
five
films
plus some
plus
shorts.
some shorts. Yeah, and that'll just be what I'm wearing, but there will be some shorts as well. I'll wear trousers probably, Andy. What about you?
I don't think I wear shorts apart from at the very height of summer, so trousers all the way, I
That's true.
reckon.
It is March, isn't it? That's crazy. But it's
Might go for our blue jeans.
the second we hit April. Do you know we're going to be in each other's company when the clocks go forward as well, Andy? We're going to watch ourselves
We'll
wither.
lose an hour together. That's a shame.
Yeah, we will. I'll be fuming about that.
Just what I need before an 8-hour drive back home
Oh
is an
God.
hour of less sleep. Yeah.
Oh bloody hell.
And
Andy, what
apart
were
from
you what
that,
were you
though,
going to
I did
mention?
watch one of the one of the things I've been looking forward to being released this year. Bloody Axe Wound hit Shudder
Oh, yes, it did.
end of last weekend. So this is about, read the synopsis for you. Abby Bladecut is a teenager torn between the macabre traditions of her family's bloody trade and the tender stirrings of her own first crush. The synopsis goes on, but I shall not. It has got, it's a good turning the genre on its head, a little bit of a comedy, but very splatter heavy slasher, as the name suggests.
Abby Bladecut is her name.
Abby Bladecut is the daughter of like a notorious Michael Myers type who always returns from the
Oh,
grave to do a
got
load
you.
of murders. And when he is momentarily incapacitated, she gets to step up and take on the mantle of the slasher.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it was fun. It's a fun movie. It's on Shudder now. Um, I think your real serious heads who want a dead straight down the line slasher might find it has a little bit too much whimsy and emotion and teenage angst for them. But
hmm.
if you like a little bit of a twist on the genre, a little bit of poking fun at the old tropes that you used to see in one of these movies, the kills are still very bloody. It's quite a sweet movie as well.
Nice. It's on the list. I'd like to see it as well, so I'll try and check it out this week.
But most importantly, Ben, most importantly of all, I think my favorite episode, perhaps so far, and one where a much anticipated resolution for you in particular, as sort of proximate viewers of course, what I'm talking about, Friday the 13th, the series, a contemporary and modern series which ran from 1987 to 1990. Um, I watched episode 9, The Root of All Evil,
No.
which, if that metaphor is lost on you, everyone, is money.
Plants.
A lot like
Oh.
the people behind Saw 11 found out recently.
Oh.
Um, and in this one, the haunted item, which, yes, Ben, was sold by the uncle before our protagonists came onto the
Ridiculous.
scene, is a cursed mulcher. That's right, a mulcher. But what the curse of this is
What?
if you feed a person into it, so if you
Right.
get a person and put them into this horrible garden mulcher,
Yeah.
what comes out is the cash value of their net worth.
Based, but how's this Mulcher gonna know that?
It's magic.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So
That's the
it's
bloody
about
answer.
it's about a gardener, and he finds himself in possession of it because the man who originally bought it and knew it was evil, he's locked up.
Yeah.
But this guy finds out about it and then proceeds to try and grind up richer and richer people to get their money's worth
Mm.
out of them. It just so happens he's been employed to work on the estate of a sweet old lady who lives in a giant house.
Absolutely loaded.
Is absolutely loaded.
Bloody hell.
Um, this was a fun one, but I think, Ben, you'd be really invested in this for the subplot because Mickey, she's a bit down in the dumps, unfortunately, Ben, because she hasn't seen her boyfriend for a little while, her fiance, and she just doesn't know when she's going to get over and have completed getting rid of all these things. Then
Been
her
about six.
fiance
Been about six
turns
months,
up.
isn't it?
It's been about 6 months, aye. So a boyfriend, fiance turns up and he says, "Listen,
Listen.
I don't believe any of this stuff's true, even though they definitely show him. The dolly from the pilot, she comes back.
Yeah.
He's standing there going, "What's this dolly?" And she like is literally moving down in the basement. Still doesn't believe them. It does some very patronizing. I believe that you believe this is really a thing. And
Oh
then he sets
God.
her an ultimatum in the end, saying, "Right, you're gonna have to leave this television program and come back and be my fiance in a house and go to the company picnic, or we can call this whole thing off because if you're not committed, then it's going to be gone." Um, and spoilers for anyone who's not caught up on this 1987 series, that's the choice she ultimately makes. The gang is going to continue, Ben. They're all together again, and he is out of the picture. So no more of that fiance hold hanging over any others. They're 100% committed to mysteries all the time.
What? What? They just split up.
Yeah, they're split up, Ben.
They wrote themselves into a corner with that, didn't they? And they went, right, we need to split these two characters up. Ridiculous.
He was a wet blanket there, then. He was never
Was
going to
he?
get involved with the mysteries. And even though he's very suspicious, what are you doing hanging around with this guy all the time? She's like, he's my cousin. And she's like, So it does happen some places. He's very
It
rude.
does happen
He's about as rude
sometimes
as the people in Lake Placid to
to
everybody.
everybody. Oh man.
Everyone is so rude in this film. But yeah, they are the main highlights of this week that I would
Mm,
recommend, apart from, of course, film of the week, Lake
yeah.
Placid.
Apart from the film of the week, which is Lake Placid, a 1999 American comedy horror film directed by Steve Miner. Is the first installment in the Lake Placid film series. How many films are there in the Lake Placid film series? Do we know? Three?
Six.
Six.
I think you get like Lake Placid versus Anaconda or
Yeah, Lake
something.
Yes.
Placid
Which
1,
is
2, and 3.
I really enjoyed Lake Placid versus Anaconda.
Lake Placid, the final chapter, of course. Lake Placid versus Anaconda, and Lake Placid Legacy. Um, okay, so the film stars Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Brendan Gleeson, Oliver Platt, and Betty White. In the film, a giant crocodile terrorizes the fictional location of Black Lake, Maine, while a dysfunctional group of police and scientists attempt to capture or kill the beast. Who knows what they want to do with it? Um, IMDb 5.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 47% audience score, 40% critic score. Letterboxd 3.0 out of 5. Some choice reviews from Letterboxd. Matt Lynch says, total genius move, taking a killer Croc movie and turning it into a sitcom. I could watch Oliver Platt, insult Brendan Gleeson pretty much forever. 3.5 stars. Haley says somebody got the idea to get drunk with somebody and pair this with Anaconda for a really fun double feature. 4 stars. Well, there's also a film Lake Placid versus Anaconda as well.
Yeah.
So don't just
This is
pair it.
beginning the collision course of
Yeah.
these two.
Kylo says this is how I like my creature features. Absolutely bonkers with a 90s sense of humor. 4 stars. Don't think that's Kylo Ren because he ain't got much of a sense of humor as he's
No,
ever
he
so
hates
serious.
it.
He hates it. And then Fake Voorhees says a silly crocodile movie that's elevated by a great cast, humorous dialogue, and the fact it doesn't take itself too seriously. The croc sometimes looks awesome when it's animatronic, and sometimes not so awesome when it's CG. 4 stars. There we go. So
There are some miserable people out there, aren't there?
there
No
are some.
joy in their
To
lives.
be
I think
fair though,
the people that were around in 1999 appreciate that film for what it was back then.
yeah. I mean, yeah, Lake Placid is always one of those films that comes up when you're discussing like creature features from that sort of era, doesn't it? I think like the cast it's got as well, that's a very 90s thing, like having such a heavyweight cast for a film like this. Um, yeah, so I mean, what's your history with this film, Neil? Have you always been a fan?
Yeah, I saw it at cinema. Like, I mean, I love creature features. It's always been, you go back to like Grizzly, like the film from the 70s.
Mm.
Alligator was one of the first horror films I ever saw. Late night on my grandma's TV,
Yeah,
in the spare room, watching Alligator. It's amazing. So
yeah,
I've always loved creature features, and I always loved the monsters in films. And um, you consider the films that came out in 1999. I mean, you had The Matrix, The Mummy.
yeah.
You had Fight Club, American Pie, The Green Mile, Eyes Wide Shut, The Sixth Sense. The Phantom Menace came out in 1999. Office Space came out. It's like the Galaxy Quest. It's
What a
just
bloody year!
What an
insane.
absolute
Sleepy
bonza
Hollow
year.
was 1999.
Oh
Blair
wow,
Witch
yeah.
Project, Deep Blue Sea. Like,
Oh my
it's
God.
insane. Like, the sort of films that came out, and when I saw the trailer for this back in the day, I mean, I would have been, oh god, 1999, 21. So, like 21, beautiful head of hair. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out that year.
Oh yeah,
Like, I've
amazing.
What a
lived
time.
living my life. Like, The Sopranos First Ed, Family Guy First Ed. And well, seeing the trailer is like just right up my alley. This type of creature
Yeah.
feature, got a bit of fun. And we did go and see it at the cinema. Back when you could afford to go to the cinema,
Yeah,
Mm.
that
which
wasn't like a significant investment.
which luckily, considering the films that came out in 1999, is a very good thing, because
Yeah. Oh my
you would
God.
be broke if you had to do that today.
And
But I
what
mean,
com-
yeah, I mean, I also got it on VHS when it came out, and I had it on DVD when that first came out on DVD.
Mm.
I've loved this film since since I first saw it. So
I'm assuming the sequels are more like made for TV movies, right? I don't think they were
yeah,
any
there's
cinematic
a drop off.
release. There's a serious
There's a
drop
drop
off
off.
from 1 to 2. Oh,
Yeah, they
what a
became all the
shame.
others. I think were TV movies essentially.
I think Sci-Fi Channel pretty much,
Yeah.
which is hence how you end up with all these all the crossover movies always tend to be Sci-Fi Channel movies.
I'm looking at the covers. Like they go from like being like horror movies or like creature features. Lake Placid, the final chapter, the cover of it looks like a teen movie. It looks like an American Pie crossover with. I'm assuming
Yeah.
it takes place at spring break or something. That's all I
I'm
can
pretty
think of.
sure it gets the same sort of energy as a your killer, like your mecha shark and
Giant
sharktopus, where
octopus. Yeah, yeah.
eventually we do get like an 80s pop sensation in one of these. I think it comes from the Anaconda side, maybe Tiffany, I can't be sure.
Oh God.
The only scene I really remember is where she gets crushed in the car. When I think the anaconda car, I can't remember if the anaconda crushes the car or the crocodile does, but it's I actually watched that not too long ago, actually. But
Yeah, we've set a dangerous thing in motion now because, with the exception of the newer one, Lake Placid Legacy, I've seen all of these.
Have you?
I've seen all of them right up to the inevitable crossover.
Through choice.
But I don't. Yeah, I think I started and I literally went and watched them all. But I might have. I don't remember anything of any of the others apart from.
Oh, and it's similar to a friend of mine who made it his mission to watch every single Amityville film that's ever been made.
Oh God.
I think he was on 20. I think he'd seen 23 films.
That
I
is,
think there's like 35 that have got that are involved with the Amityville. What do you call it? Title. But hopefully this doesn't go to that many. But
yeah, I mean, what a cast as well. Obviously, Bill Pullman as Jack Wells, Bridget Fonda as Kelley Scott, Brendan Gleeson as Sheriff, Hank Kyo, with doing an accent. You know, when Brendan Gleeson's doing an accent, when you're so used to hearing him as an Irishman, and then suddenly he's doing an American thing. That's pretty crazy. Oliver Platt, like chewing the scenery, I guess you would say. Betty White. Her inclusion,
she steals
iconic.
She steals the show, doesn't she?
She steals the show, yeah, exactly. I feel like it was the only thing I really remember about this film, which was like, yeah, there's a crocodile in it, and I remember Betty White being in it as well. That's kind of it.
Foul-mouthed Betty White as well.
What was that?
A foul-mouthed Betty White.
Foul-mouthed Betty White. How dare you, Betty White? Wash your mouth out with soap, I would. And also, like, yeah, her inclusion in the film is great as well, because she's not just like a throwaway character. Like she's very important to the plot. You know why this crocodile's doing what it's doing. So yeah, that is great. But yeah, Andy, I'm assuming you're a fan as well.
Yeah, big fan of it. Like I didn't remember it perfectly. I'll tell you what, they're a lot ruder than I remember, but I think that's just how we talked to each other in the 90s.
That's just how you talk in the night, isn't it? Yeah.
Based on where you're from, slightly. What's that? From this city? Oh, you must be a piece of shit.
I could have been guessing all day long, and I'd have never guessed that Bridget Fonda was in this. I had absolutely no memory of her being in this film.
Yeah, I really liked Bridget Fonda in this. Made me sort of nostalgic for the days that she was in more. Again, I don't know whether
she didn't really go on to do loads of things, did she? She kind of well, she married Danny Elfman. That's probably why she didn't have to work for the money.
All my Gremlins music money.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, so where do we start? So it takes place in Aroostook County, Maine, and it's on the what was it called? Black Lake. Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Officer Walt Lawson is scuba diving with Sheriff Hank Keogh in Black Lake. And you know, this sets things up in so many different ways. We get like the Jaws jump scare underwater.
And music that's very Jaws as well, right? When he's investigating, when he gets a bit spooked by that beaver, like dive bombing him into the water.
You would get
spooked. Then it's like, like the whole under pressure Ice Ice Baby, where it's just legally distinct enough to not be the same.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Vanilla Ice did get sued, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think maybe they made it. Yeah, it's got an extra note. It's legally distinct. But
Dun,
like in this, it's like
dun.
da-da, da-da.
I mean, it's so reminiscent, isn't it? Like, I do feel like one of the shots for me that works all the time is that POV shot of somebody's legs kicking in the water and
Yeah.
seeing something beneath them, ready to attack. Terrifies me. It always does, and this works. This works well. Would you rather come up against a crocodile or an anaconda? Terrible question, right?
Well, my fear of snakes would suggest probably a crocodile, to be honest. Because
Yeah, because I feel like anaconda yeah, it's just
well,
a
if
lot
you
more
believe
unpredictable.
what they said in the film, they don't attack underwater, wasn't it?
Okay.
One of the
Oh,
like they
if you
think,
take Oliver Platt's advice and
yeah,
say,
if you go under the water, they won't attack you. I was like, hang on,
Hang about. Yeah, I mean, you
I
didn't seem
think that might
very
be true because
Oliver
I don't
Platt's
think they
character.
have the. I don't think they have
Oh, like the
you can keep their mouth shut with an elastic band because they
yeah,
haven't got
because
the jaw strap.
they've got very strong jaws for biting, but not the muscles that
So,
open their mouths aren't
so
as strong. So if you can
if they're
hold their mouth
underwater,
closed,
maybe the water pressure stops them from.
so if you're armed with an elastic band,
you've got a big elastic band.
big old not even a big one. Yeah, well, I guess a big one. Yeah. And
Yeah, if
so
it's a small one, you got to
I'm a
double wrap it, haven't you?
famous crocodile hunter. Are you? All I've got is an elastic band. Well, that ain't gonna help, is it? Well,
You might
sit
have a
back
belt
and
on you though.
watch.
You could just belt their mouth closed if
Oh,
you
we've
were
definitely
so
seen that
skilled.
happen before, right? So,
Yeah,
what have I seen a crocodile get in its mouth?
Steve Irwin probably.
Oh, I thought
No,
you were going to say
Steve would never. He was very
Oh,
anti that sort of
I
thing.
thought I thought you were going to say Steve O. Then, like,
Steve O.
sounds like more of a jackass thing. I feel like I've seen it. I don't know if I want to say Indiana Jones. No,
Maybe. I'm guessing, yeah.
I've seen it done lots. I can't think a
I guess
specific
if Steve
film
Irwin
where I've
had to
seen it.
hold a crocodile's mouth closed, he would have just done it with the proper
yeah,
equipment.
proper equipment. You just ask the crocodile nicely. Can you please just close your mouth for this moment? And you go, yeah, of course I will. Anything for you, Steve. I'll never hurt you. It'll just be a big old horrible stingray.
I know.
Still haven't forgiven
Rest in
stingrays
peace,
for
the
that.
legend.
Still haven't forgiven stingrays for that. You know, I thought they were. I
Not
thought
watched
they
the
were.
puppet show since.
I thought they were all right to be fair. Not watched the puppet show since. Bloody hell. Yeah, and obviously this is something. A shot like this was very popular in this sort of era, wasn't it? Where is someone all right? No, they're an half. That was
Oh yeah,
that,
we're getting him out. We're getting him out. Oh, sorry, he's just a top.
actually he's in. Again, what else has this been in? I'm thinking of like something like Resident Evil, where lasers go off. He's all right, isn't he? He's done all
No,
right. Oh, Colin Salmon,
he's been
he's
halved.
fine. No, he's been cubed.
Yeah,
He's been cubed like some pork belly.
Well, the irritating thing about that in Resident Evil, he only had to step back about 2 feet.
Yeah,
Did
he
you see all
did.
the space behind him?
Stop.
it goes
Like,
off.
just step backwards, mate. You'll be fine.
Bloody
But
hell, Colin Salmon. Uh, he's in EastEnders now, literally. Like it was on
Is he?
randomly turned over the other day, and I went, "What the hell? Colin Salmon's in EastEnders?
Can you
What a
imagine if he gets cubed?
step down
Because they have to keep the ratings up in these soaps now. People aren't watching TV in the way they used to.
in the
They're gonna have to
Queen
get him cubed to keep ratings high.
in the Queen Vic. They've got a laser hallway set up.
Yeah, if you open the head on the bus to press a little button,
Oh, I would like to see
Danny
Colin
Dyer's
Salmon cubed.
treasure.
Oh, um, so yeah, obviously we get that moment where the scuba diver panics, tries to get out. The sheriff pulls him into the boat, but he's in half. Which I mean, to be fair, Sheriff Hank sees a lot of shit in this film. He
I
sees,
reckon he'd have taken the rest of the day out. Like, I think that's probably something. There are several events in this film that would be the most harrowing thing you would ever seen,
yeah.
and you'd probably at least get a day off.
I reckon he's fine now. I reckon he goes and has a nice little can of pop, and then he's fine. I don't reckon
Do you reckon he's trying to see like disasters in certain public sector jobs? If you witness three, then they just retire you.
he was one day away from retirement, and he got bit in half. So then we've got Jack Wells, played by Bill Pullman. He is a United States Fish and Wildlife Service officer. Obviously, they're bringing him in to go, what's going on here then? And then they've got Kelley Scott. She is a natural history paleontologist. She's kind of happy to be sent off on this little task because
Oh, because of
she's
absolute treachery.
been absolutely
it's a proper 90s rom-com setup, isn't it? Like
yeah,
small town, girl from the city,
girl from the
Never been in the
city who's
countryside. Can't stand mosquitoes. Can't.
oh, and she's going out
Small
with a man who
town girl
was
from the city.
a
Going to
man who
find a
was
crocodile.
absolutely punching above his weight.
Who's
With
this?
her boyfriend,
Yeah,
who I think if they'd had the budget for it, they would have
Oh,
had Ross from Friends. Old David Schwimmer would have done him.
who was it in it? I can't remember. Who was the
Just
boyfriend?
some fella.
Just some
Uh,
fella.
and he's only chucked her so he can go out with Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming they've sent her off on this thing to like get her out of the way,
yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, because that bit when he comes into the office says, "Oh, hey, I want you to go and do this field work," and she just basically goes, "Fuck off," so I'm not going. Then he makes her go.
They're joined by Hector Sear, who's just an absolute wild card of a man. You know, who are you? You can't be here. What's going on?
a
I'm in a
rich-
helicopter that's painted like an alligator, a crocodile. He's a what is he? A wealthy mythology professor and crocodile enthusiast. Well, you want to marry this crocodile or something, Hector Sear? For God's sake!
I mean, we'll cover him when he actually arrives because he doesn't come at the very beginning. We have to have lots of snark first
That's true. That's
as
true.
they get there. So Hector will arrive in a minute, but first they all arrive. I love the bit that Bridget Fonda is basically sent to ascertain whether it is a dinosaur tooth that has been
Yeah.
found in this guy. And she arrives and literally looks in and goes, "Yeah, it's a crocodile tooth. This is a reptile tooth."
You could have sent a photo of that to me. You could have sent a photo of that and I'd have gone as crocodile tooth. You wouldn't have had to bring me all the way out here.
But
Because
she's
I bet
there
part
now.
of her was thinking, I hope it is a dinosaur tooth, because what a find this would
Absolute
be.
find. But then she kind of gives herself the ick by going, "I should probably look at this body." So, are you sure? Do you want?
There's a lot of dead bodies. There's a lot of severed heads popping up, you know?
Yeah, she
Uh,
gets livid that people keep throwing them at her.
Yeah, she
Right.
gets hit by at least two severed heads, a
One of
toe.
one of them is a moose.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I've
Oh, yeah.
only been here a day and I've been hit with two heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so good. I think she is absolute comedy gold. And in finding out, while I was lamenting that she wasn't in more because she had all that the Elfman fortune,
I
what I
mean, that
learned
might
that I
not be
didn't
the
know
reason, but
is that she's in Army of Darkness.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, she's in Army of Darkness. She's in Jackie Brown, as we know.
Oh, my God, yeah, Jackie Brown. Oh,
She
wait.
is Annabella in Drop Dead Fred.
I'm just trying to think. Jackie Brown, is she who Robert De Niro's character just shoots in the
Yes.
car park? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can't
Keep
find a
saying his
car,
name.
can you? You can't find a
Lewis.
car, can you? Absolutely. Honestly, be quiet because I've had it up to here. Be quiet. You're a twat. Bang. That is. Oh man, that is
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite Tarantino moments. I think. Just because it's out of nowhere. I do like when people get shot out of nowhere. Pulp Fiction as well. Rest in peace, Marvin. Right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, she was only in a few films after this. You know,
Yeah, she
she was in
pretty
like
much
6 films after this.
just uh, disappeared. Just
Yeah.
don't know why.
She won't have had a guts full.
Could be
I'm-
any of those things.
she didn't
She
get
could have
asked-
Rick Moranis it and just gone, "Oh, I've done all right. No
She
more."
didn't get asked back for Lake Placid 2, even if it was a TV movie. She was like, I want to reprise my role.
I want to.
Sorry.
Well, she obviously cared about the story, and she wouldn't want to come back and do a Tremors and be like, "Oh, the relationship didn't work out with Bill Pullman." Spoilers, they
Yeah.
get together, everybody.
There was no way Bill Pullman was coming back. Like,
No.
Yeah.
It's obviously
he
a
kind
game,
of he kind of acts in this like he'd signed the deal to do this before he kind of suddenly took off. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I've been the president now. Shit.
Now I've got
I've got to do a bloody speech, have I? Oh.
Literally, I have done the most impressive speech in American politics in my generation.
Iconic. Yeah, so when is it that Oliver Platt turns up? Fairly
So
soon.
this is after they have the first instance. They've come along there. They're being all. I think it's Brendan Gleeson's character points out he already doesn't like Bill Pullman, the fishing game man, because he is like condescending and sarcastic. And then
Yeah.
he points out after he speaks to Bridget Fonda, "Oh, you're rude, sarcastic," and then she implies that really going on there, like, "Oh, we have showers in New York City, unlike here in Maine,
Jesus.
where everyone's a dickhead, and I don't like anything, and you all stink." And she's,
Yeah,
And then
was out of order.
and then Bill Pullman's coming and she gets furious about calling her ma'am. And
Hmm.
then next thing you know, she's accusing him when they find a moose head on the boat and she already is unhappy about camping, and then slaps poor Brendan Gleeson in the face about 3 times for throwing the head at her.
This is unnecessary, you know.
You
I think
threw that head at
once
me because I just let it go.
I just let it go. One slap is like, oh yeah, she's got him. Two slaps, you're like, whoa, what's going on here? Intense.
Because this is before he turns up. Is that when they get the canoe flipped?
Yeah,
That's before he turns up after that, doesn't he?
that
Yeah,
happens.
because they go out once. They go, should we go out in these tiny canoes to see if someone really has been eaten by a
Because
big
they do a bit of
crocodile?
exposition, don't they? Where it's like that's when they say, "Oh, they wanted to call it Lake Placid, but."
That name's taken.
So do you think that it originally was supposed to be called Black Lake, and then they found out they couldn't use it, so they just put in this line like out of nowhere. Oh, we wanted
It
to call
does
it
feel
Lake
a bit like
Placid
that, doesn't it? Yeah.
because I
Or
don't.
maybe it's a location thing. Was it meant to be set in Lake Placid, but they couldn't? The location
Maybe
didn't
actually,
work.
maybe, but it was just it really stuck out that line, like that kind
Yeah,
of.
it
Why
definitely
would you bring
does.
that up?
Yeah, it's like, oh, the the lake's ever so placid, isn't it? Yeah, we should have called it that. The name was taken.
Hmm.
Just
Um,
a really
so
weird sort of sequence,
so
but yeah,
so what are they saying? They're saying that they suspect the culprit's a crocodile, but what's the reason they say? Oh, it probably isn't, or it couldn't be.
Because it would be too big.
Too big.
and it's didn't they say something about
Oh, it's
that water's salt water or something because it connects
yeah.
to the sea or something.
Connects to the
Like,
sea,
Yeah,
so a crocodile.
it's connected to the sea, and it's just, don't ask me about saltwater crocodiles because I'm for the purposes of this conversation, they are not a thing.
But they are a thing, aren't they? Yeah.
They're absolutely a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they absolutely are a thing. Yeah. Um.
every
So
six
yeah.
weeks, one of them tears someone apart in North Queensland.
but
But I'm not
yeah,
spending any more time on it.
but they're adamant that they can't be in Maine. Like there are no crocodiles
Yeah.
in Maine. Full stop. But
I love that in films. Don't you love that in films? This is my favorite thing in films. This is impossible. It could never happen. No one's going to believe you till it's too late. I love that. No matter how many times it happens, it's never overdone. I'm not even being sarcastic. I actually do love it. Um, so
because
yeah,
she tries to call uh, um, the government, doesn't she? She tries to make a call to the wildlife, and they don't believe her. They say they need proof.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why
So
they go out.
don't you, a respected professor, tell me it's a crocodile, but I need
What kind of
bloody
proof do they need?
photograph.
They need a photo, which they
Maybe
could.
a tooth stuck in a dead body would be.
Yeah.
A
Oh, right,
tooth
we've
stuck in
got
a
that.
dead body that
Perfect.
was bitten in half a day ago.
Yeah. Oh, could have been anything. Could have been anything. Anaconda came out 2 years ago. We all know what happened there. Uh, yeah. So is it around about now that Hector Sear
Yeah,
turns up?
when they're arguing
Yeah.
about that, I think
When
is
they're arguing
when
about it, he flies in.
and she's like, "Oh no."
She knows that you're not this fella.
Not bloody Hector Sear. He is like, I mean, he's got not many social skills, unfortunately.
Also,
He,
like everyone else in this film, really rude.
really
And
rude,
a massive sex pest,
a
Yeah.
massive sex pest,
which you got away with in 1999.
sharing too much information, telling everyone that he's had sex with Bridget Fonda's character. There's a weird bit when he's dancing with a police officer. He says,
Yes.
"We're off to mate."
Yeah, he literally says that.
Well,
Oh.
there's that, and there's the police work. Isn't it dangerous? And you've got such magnificent boobs. You just
He does say that, but do you know what's weird? She seems into him. This character
She
seems into
actively
him.
says, if you don't go in this water, we can go and have sex
Yeah.
right
You've
now.
got magnificent boobs, and she goes, "Thanks."
I've got a horrid. It would have been if I'd been 21 at the time, and back in the days when I go out club, and I have a horrible feeling that I may well have drunk enough to try to use that line at some point.
You flew in your
Flew in.
crocodile helicopter.
And then what music does he put on in his tent?
Oh, it's oh god,
Yeah, what is it?
Because there are some needle drops in this film.
I don't remember.
it's a proper license. Like they've obviously spent money on the soundtrack because it was
Yeah.
I can't honestly I cannot remember the name of the song.
Oh, I
but-
remember it being really. It's not, but it reminds me. It's like they're listening to because they're having like a crocodile that might come. It feels like listening to like "Celebrate" by Kool and the Gang or something like that in the tent.
It's funny that era. Yeah,
I'll just check. Oh no, I've got it. It's not unusual.
It's not
that's it.
unusual.
Yeah,
Yes.
And they're probably having like a big dance in the
it's not
tent.
unusual.
And like
Yeah.
loads of the policemen are just there. And then
Yeah. Brendan Gleeson walks in. He goes, "This ain't a fucking jolly, mate. This ain't a
And it's
jolly,
funny,
lads."
when he walks in, he goes, "Hey," and they all stop and go, "Hey."
Yeah. And then he just
It's
turns
Norm
the
from
music off.
Cheers. Yeah.
and then like some of his deputies, he's paid them to like dig a big pit. He paid you. Just like, should we not take his money? Like, no.
I knew from the moment the pit was being dug, I was like, someone's going in there, and it's gonna be Brendan Gleeson, isn't it? It's gonna be. It's gonna be.
It's literally the only thing he does in this film is get trapped. It's like 4
Oh
times.
yeah.
Oh
Yep.
God, it fallen into these traps.
Doesn't he say, or who says about like the noise could attract the crocodile as well?
Yeah, everyone says, he goes, oh yeah, that's Hector. He says, yeah,
while we were
I
doing
want it
it,
to actually.
You wanted to. Oh, terrifying.
That's why I'm building the traps so I can trap him.
Yeah. And at one point, Hector Sear is outside building a trap, like in the middle of the night. He's really into this.
He goes out it's the same night he goes out to the toilet. Brendan goes out to the toilet, and then you get the old, "Oh, here's something," and then he's skulking around, and then they pop up at the same time.
Yeah.
He's like, I could have shot you.
What are you doing? I was just making a trap. Sends him off, and then he turns around and walks, and obviously he's just in his pants as well. He's sleeping sleeping in his uniform on the top half, and the bottom
Winnie the
half.
Pooh in it, isn't he?
He's just Winnie the Pooh in it, and he walks and falls into the trap. Yeah, devastated for him.
Just after everyone else has come out as well. Everyone else has come out of the tents to see what the ruckus is.
Yeah, it's a bit slapstick, but it's not overdone. I think it still feels like it's in keeping with the tone.
I mean, it's tonally with everything that they're saying, because they say, we joke that everyone's rude to each other, but it's the snarkiest film I've seen in a long time. But in a nice way. It's the way we make friends in this country.
Well, it's also the fact that they're both such unlikable characters that it kind of works, because it's
I do feel myself gravitating towards Brendan Gleeson a bit more.
Me too.
Because he's not a sex
just trying to
pest,
do
I
his
guess.
job. Yeah, he's not trying to have sex with any of his deputies. And the bit that unnecessary, even when they're not in an active fight, the bit where they're just on the boat exploring, and Hector goes, "Someone should point this out to you, Sheriff. You are fat."
Oh, jeez, does he say that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she goes, "Oh, but I think I owe this as a kindness to tell you, you're a big fat man." And
I wouldn't say. Now, if I was comparing both of their body types, in my head, I'm thinking Hector Sear might be carrying a bit more timber than Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, but he
There's
knows.
about a 2 foot difference between them. Like, Brendan Gleeson's way taller than.
That's true. So yeah, the following day they go out, and that's when they get into like an altercation, isn't it? Which is, what's the altercation about, essentially?
So they go out, and they think this is where they've got. Is this when they've got the baby crocodile noises?
Yeah, they're dragging a speaker under the water, aren't they? And they're going to go diving down and try and lure it out.
And this is where the theory comes in that they don't really attack underwater because they can't see very well underwater, so they only really attack at the surface. So they'll be perfectly safe. Worry about you lot on the boat.
Yeah.
They go down, they spot a bit of a tail, and then come back to the boat ultimately. Having tried for 10 minutes, they haven't caught the big crocodile, so they decide to come back to move the plot along. Unfortunately, though, on the boat, we have major characters. We've got Hector, we've got Brendan Gleeson, we've got Bridget Fonda, and we've got Bill Pullman. And then we've also got popular character, Man.
We've got red shirt, yeah.
It's bloody Man. And he's always putting his neck out like that, just on the edge of the boat. He's always like, "All right, everyone all right down there?"
Yeah, is that right? Just
what are you doing?
Just pull the speaker up, will you? Because we're definitely not going to see the crocodile right now. So pull the speaker up, and
while you're doing that, we're all going to look on the other side of the boat, so we can't see if something bites your head off. We won't see it.
Talking of stealing shots from Jaws, I mean, I know it's not the same as Jaws, but I guess it's fairly reminiscent of. It feels like we're looking at it from the same angle as well, of when the shark comes out of the water when he's throwing the chum in there.
I think there's a lot of inspiration taken. I think
homage, but I guess it leaps out, and not only does it leap out, but it leaps out unseen and just takes
Yeah,
man's head off.
yeah.
And they still for a second are like, well, what could have done that? Like,
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know about you. I've
his
never been
head's
anywhere.
off.
His name's Deputy Burke, played by Jed Reese. So let's give man his due.
Is he? So Deputy Buck gets his head bitten off. Oh, and we haven't mentioned at this point. They've already been to see Betty White, who I think
yes,
MVP of this film, also very rude. But one of the
Yeah,
first
but
people they visit is Betty White, and he goes, "Oh, what happened to your husband?" He goes, "Oh, killed him. He was really sick, so I bonked him on the head,
bonked him on
like
the
in
noggin. Yeah,
Midsummer, film that went on to
Betty
inspire
White.
Midsummer."
Betty White's rude, but it's one of those things where like when someone gets to a certain age, all bets are off, aren't they? They go.
Yeah, she's not
They're
too rude to
rude.
them right now. She does just say like, "Oh,
She's a
I
character.
killed him. I put him out of his suffering." But this time after Deputy Man has had his head bitten off, they go back and go, "There's a bloody crocodile here, isn't there? Like you knew about this whole time."
because
No?
they see it, don't they? They see it through binoculars when they
Oh,
get
this
back
is
to shore.
Yeah, a little
sorry.
bit
This is
later.
after they
Yeah.
find his head, don't they? Because they find his head's
Yeah.
been gobbed out on the
Well,
Yes,
shoreline.
before that though, but the first instance of them properly seeing it is when it attacks the bear.
I love this scene. This scene's so good. They're all
This
having a big
scene,
fight.
when I saw a GIF of this scene fairly recently, I was like, "What PS2 game's that from?" Honestly, I didn't know what PS2 game's
yeah,
that from.
it was
Bloody
it was
Lake Placid.
mind blowing in '99.
Oh
That was
yeah,
like,
definitely.
jeez.
You'd never
Do you know
seen
what?
the like.
It still looks pretty good. So yeah, it's when Hank and Hector are like arguing, isn't it?
Is
And
this after he's been caught in the tree? He gets
wait,
caught in a
Yes.
snare trap, and he
If
goes,
I let
"Right,
you
let him
down, are
down.
you going to
yeah.
attack me? Hmm.
Oh yeah, and he lets him down and he goes, "What did he
You
say?" And he
promised." He goes, "I
chases him with a
lied,"
stick.
and he's gonna bonk him on the head with a stick.
Every time I say Hank and Hector, are they Breaking Bad characters? I think they are. Every time I say it, I'm getting a little bit Breaking Bad vibes.
It's also
Um,
inspired.
yeah. So he chases him with a stick. He's gonna do him in, but then suddenly a
A
large grizzly
bear
bear
comes.
attacks them. Well, just comes out of nowhere like it's gonna attack.
It runs
Um,
straight past them. Like it comes herring
yeah,
out of the forest, goes straight past them, stops on the bank, and turns around and goes, right now I'm going to go for
Oh,
it.
it's
turning
it's
circle on a bear.
it's the Jurassic World Mosasaurus moment, isn't it? For the
Yes.
end of that film, where like, oh no, I'm the wait, what's he called? The Indominus Rex. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
right on the edge of the thing. What's going on? I'm just gonna stand here for a second. Oh, bang! There we go.
Gone.
So it's a
This,
32-foot long saltwater crocodile,
yeah,
the titular Placid beast.
Lake Placid himself.
Lake Placid himself. That's his
I
name.
feel like that story, this event, regardless, can you imagine how long? Just want to be clear, in any normal working job, how long you're dining out on just this one day at work that you've had? The stories you got.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. Earlier, I was out on a boat. Fella got his head bit off just like that.
One
And
go.
then later on, I was having a big. I'll tell you what, these two lads are having a row. Well, that certainly shut up because this bear comes out of nowhere, cuts Bill Pullman's arm by like knocking him over into some bushes, and then we thought we were going to be eaten by a bear. Like, you imagine telling this in the pub. You got everyone come around. No one else in the pub is having their own conversation anymore. They're listening to what you're saying, and you're there and saying,
I won't believe you.
"You'll never guess what happened, right?" So we're there, big, massive grizzly bear. It's roaring at us. We thought we'd had it, and then big crocodile, the very same one that bit that fella's head off earlier today, comes out, snaps him off, takes
And
him into the
then
water.
and then Betty White told me to fuck off.
Because then she comes round and yeah, they go around and say, "Hey, hang on a minute," because they find the guy's head and they say, "Oh, why's he spat this guy's head out?" And they're looking through binoculars at Betty White taking down like a
A
cow to the water with a
blindfolded cow.
blindfold
Yeah.
on. And then I love it. Bridget Fonda's looking. There was a, "What's she doing?" And she goes, "Have a look, just over, like scroll to the right a little bit, and there's a massive crocodile in the water just
Crocodile just
waiting,
waited. Oh wow.
mouth open to be fed a cow." And that's when they go and see her. And he goes, You didn't tell us about the big crocodile." So, "Oh, you didn't ask her." And then she
What's the
starts calling them
reason? What's
cocksuckers.
the Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off then, Andy. During that delivery, you could say it again. Apology.
It's all right. The people will have got it. They'd have known. I mean, I can't ever promise to deliver the line cocksucker as well as Betty White does.
I'm confused because I kind of thought, why is a crocodile starting eating people now then? What's the reason? I thought it'd be like fine eating cows. Or is it
Just
just
a
got a
bit
taste?
peckish, I
It's got a
guess.
taste. It's got a taste for human flesh after eating her husband. So now, I guess people go into its territory, don't they? And I guess that's a reason
That's
why.
what Betty White said. It's bloody Lake Placid's lake now.
It's Lake
Yeah, it's been
Placid's lake.
it was there first. I think it's kind of
Yeah.
because she just says it just turned up one day, so she just started feeding it.
How long do crocodiles live for? It's a long time, isn't it?
Like,
Functionally forever, I think.
yeah, essentially over a good 100 years if they're not.
Yeah, they say this crocodile is probably 150 years old. I think they're one of those things that they get. Yeah, maybe this is one of those internet myth things, but I think unless they get sick or injured or they just get too big for
Yeah.
the amount of food available to sustain them, I don't think they have like a, oh, you're an old crocodile now, but you
So they
just keep
almost like
going.
don't age biologically. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
To
I think that's true. I think there
a
is.
degree.
It's one of those they
Just get
statistically
bigger.
can live forever, but it gets to a point where they just. I think they get to a size where they
Had a
just
guts full.
can't function.
You just go, I've had enough of this. You know what? Existing is pain. I'm just
But
going to
if an old
quietly.
lady is feeding you cows, then you can keep going for a
Oh
long
yeah,
old time.
and you've got like no natural like predator either, have you?
Not until
So
anaconda comes along. No,
Yeah,
until an
I mean,
anaconda
until
comes
we've
along,
we have
yeah.
to point out you're being fed by not just any old lady, the quintessential old lady who is, and I had to double check this isn't just a phrase, she is older than sliced bread.
Wait, is that what they say?
Betty White, not just a saying, was born about 6 years before sliced bread was
Oh
readily
Jesus!
available.
Oh my God! There's actually a page. 10 famous people today are older than sliced bread. Yeah, poor Betty White. She no longer
not
lives.
anymore. She's not. No.
No, but to
No,
be
I
fair,
mean,
a lot of the
she will forever be older than sliced bread, but it has outdone her now.
Dick Van Dyke.
Yep.
He's one of them. Honestly, on this list, almost all of them are dead now. Christopher Lee's on the list. Roger Moore, Hugh Hefner. I think Dick Van Dyke might be the only one left.
The
Kirk
only
Douglas.
beloved actor left older than sliced bread must
Yeah,
be protected at all costs. We need
there
to
we go.
inject him with crocodile DNA so he can become functionally immortal, but then just get bigger. We have to
Because
feed him more cows.
that's a real Dr. Connor situation. Um, yeah. So,
Well, that's
uh,
another idea for the new Lake Placid film. Dick
Yeah,
Van Dyke
I'll add that to my
half
list of
human,
film pictures.
half crocodile. Well, they were going to make a Jurassic Park once with like human hybrids, weren't they?
Yes, that was the original Jurassic Park 2, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
human DNA.
So
Yeah.
let's get it
But did
done.
they think to put Dick Van Dyke in it? I don't think
No,
so.
no, they didn't.
Because then the raptors would be able to tap dance and they could use their little claws to go the
But
tap
they do
in.
kind of do it in the first one, don't they?
Yeah.
They do.
Oh,
Um,
corporate synergy at its finest, everybody.
so they obviously, as you said, they go and talk to Betty White. She explains this and just says, I think they tell her that they're going to plan to capture it or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, good luck. I'm rooting for the crocodile. I don't give a shit about you lot, pretty much." Um, so Hector and the deputy take the helicopter onto the lake. Yeah, what are they doing on the lake? They're doing something, aren't they? And then
He wants to go scuba diving. He wants to go and because he doesn't tell them he's going to do that. So
yeah,
she's like, "What are you doing?" And they all go, "Where's he going?" And he wants to go scuba diving because he's like, "It won't hurt me underwater."
it won't hurt me underwater. And plus, I love crocodiles, and it'll know that I love crocodiles. Um, yeah,
Instantly gets attacked. Yeah.
it's
Um,
pretty much instantly gets attacked. Well, the crocodile like, becomes face to face with it. He's confronted by the crocodile. They're having a stare down. And then he like uses that inflatable raft thing to try and like distract it. He gets into the helicopter, but then the helicopter like grabs hold of the no, sorry, wrong. The the crocodile grabs hold of the helicopter, not vice versa. That would be silly.
Another
Um,
homage to Jaws 2 this time.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there we go. It's leaning into all the jewels is to,
Yeah, this is when he's getting in the water to test the crocodile, and he goes, if you don't do that, we can have sex right now. And he goes, oh, on this occasion, I'm going to have to decline and go and look at the crocodile.
well, yeah, it's a toss up, really, isn't it?
The one time he had some morals. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, how did they get away all right? And then they all survive this
Yeah,
particular.
Yeah.
It lets them go, and they just fly off.
It lets them go, and
Oh, this is when
Hector's
he's face to face with a crocodile and he escapes by like pulling the cord on his big.
yeah,
Thankfully, he has got with him an entire inflatable dinghy that he takes scuba diving.
very very lucky. Um, so yeah, after that, we're pretty much setting up for like the final
Yeah, I
showdown.
mean they decide they're like, oh, we should kill it, and then
Yeah,
it's like,
and
no,
then
no, we should trap it, and like, oh, so it's like,
I kind of like the direction they take on this one because the people from wildlife control are coming and they're going to kill it. And I love I kind of like the idea that they convince them to have one go at
tranking it,
trying
yeah.
to capture it and actually preserve an ancient because it is true. It is, and I think lesser films wouldn't have done that. It'd be like, oh, it is a monster, we should kill it. I think they recognize, with them all being like wildlife officials for the most part as well, to go, and maybe we should try and preserve a one of a kind 150-year-old animal, even if it does involve being quite cruel to some cows.
Yeah, so let's just, I tell you what, it's life is precious for these animals. Get the cows, we're going to dangle them from underneath the helicopter.
And what struck me is, and I'm sure they would have had, Humane Society people overseeing the film, but you did have to fly a cow around dangling underneath a helicopter.
Yeah, one time they didn't use CGI. They actually just dangled it in one of the Jurassic Park style cranes, wasn't it? Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally a cow dangling device.
yeah, that's what it's good for. Um, so yeah, what they want to do is lure it out of the water and tranquilize it. That's the plan, isn't it?
yeah, what
Yeah.
could possibly go wrong with
What could possibly go wrong? So they're waiting
helicopter
around.
20 feet above a lake with a big crocodile? Nothing could go wrong with that.
And can any of you describe this to me? What goes wrong with this helicopter? Why
Helicopters,
does he eventually just fuck it into the water like a mad
helicopters are like
bastard?
that. Helicopters are like that. And
Yeah,
people are
it's
like,
one of the reasons I never ever want to go on one, because they just
yeah,
do that. Like, that
they're
seems to be
like,
fairly normal.
I'll tell you what, this helicopter trip's lovely. Yeah, yeah, I'm having a great time. Actually, we're gonna crash, and everyone's
What's
gonna die. Excuse me?
I
There's like
reckon there
no
is
middle
just like
ground.
sometimes when you type in on your phone and you like look at going for an O and you accidentally get a P and you delete it and you get it again, just slightly miss a very, very
Yeah,
delicate action.
it is
I
like
think
that.
that's how helicopters work.
Well,
There is like a fine line between perfectly flying and
Yeah,
crash.
it's
well,
terrifying.
they literally just sort of hammer the laws of physics. Like that thing should not be flying. Like it's the wrong shape. It's got no lift. It's literally
Yeah.
like it's a middle finger to sort of the laws of physics. So when they bite back,
So that's pretty much
Yeah.
what happens. Hector's like, I'm loving. I've been flying this helicopter for years. I'm great at it.
And then he holds up a little Wile E. Coyote sign that's like, uh-oh, and then
Yeah.
just crashes into the water.
Loses control, crashes into the lake. So I think the helicopter sorry, why do I keep mistaking the helicopter for the crocodile? They're two separate entities.
Both dangerous entities.
The crocodile lunges out, Hector like pulls up, like to try and get out of the way. Jack
oh
fires a
yeah,
tranquilizer
they
dart
try
into
and
its
trank
neck,
it when he, yeah.
and that is when he loses control. I think it's like, oh, he pulled up and then yeah, he couldn't like level himself out
And
again,
then
so
the
he crashed
cow
into the
goes
lake.
pinging off into the distance, thankfully, a bit like an episode of the A-Team. The
Yeah.
cow just walks around the corner later, like,
So,
oh, I'm
like when it
fine.
crashes, all the bad guys get out.
Yeah,
Oh, bloody hell! Fell off the edge of a cliff. We're fine.
that was lucky.
Ooh, oh, bloody hell. So the crocodile, like full on, comes onto land now and pursues the group. This is full CGI helicopter mode. Oh my God, crocodile mode. Well, I'm gonna stop talking now because
Yeah.
I've never. It's because the helicopter has got a crocodile pattern painted on it. It's supposed to confuse. It's confused
It's
me.
camouflaged perfectly in your brain.
It's
It cannot.
confused me
That
no end.
crocodile's flying, and there's a man
How's
in
it
it.
doing that? Someone get the helicopter out of the water, swimming around. Fucking hell.
Well, ironically, it does kind of become helicopter.
True,
Yes.
true.
Just,
They're one and the same.
yeah, because she gets knocked into the lake, doesn't she? And she's
Yeah.
swimming around trying to get out, and Croc, for
Oh,
some reason, gets the other side of the helicopter.
that is the worst bit when he like goes when she's trapped. She gets pinged. They go to drive the cars away. She gets pinged out by the crocodile's tail, and then Hector's like, "Swim to me!" No,
How many times does Bridget Fonda end up in the water against her will? Is
at
it
least
three?
thrice.
Yeah.
God, what's wrong with you? Stay. She's never ready for it either. She's like, shit. Um, yeah. But essentially, she climbs through the down helicopter. The crocodile attacks, but becomes trapped. And that's when the tranquilizer kicks in. And at this point, they're just like talking about executing it, essentially, aren't they? They're like,
Yeah, having to have a big debate over
should
like,
we just execute it? How do
should we
you
just
feel about
blow it away?
how do you feel about this second crocodile thing, right? Because this feels like
It's because
the
Brendan
Meg.
Gleeson had to use his big gun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'd hide it. It's like, well, we do have it for the day.
It's
So,
like again, how many films this is a trope in a lot of films, isn't it? Where you,
oh,
again, like
all of them. Yeah.
the Meg.
The-
Oh, there's one, and then I always feel like it should be something that should be reserved for a sequel, but for some reason in this
well,
film,
again, doesn't Jaws 3 have that exact? They capture the shark, and it turns out it's the baby, not the.
It's not
Not
that
the
one. This one,
yeah,
this flips on its head at least because they've caught the big one, and then a smaller crocodile
yeah,
comes out that they then explode
it
instantly.
exploded to a second. Oh, we're having a big moral debate about whether we should
yeah,
execute.
they
So,
shoot the other
bang!
one.
And Bill Pullman could have said something because what if, in the heat of the moment, someone had like shot him to stop him shoot the crocodile? But he
Yeah,
did. He shoots it with another tranquilizer, but tells no one because he could
yeah.
have got rid of all that tension by saying, "I'm just going to
I can
tranquilize it
just hear a
again to be
tranquil.
safe."
He's gonna kill the croc. Oh no, he hasn't. Why would you let everyone think that? It's ridiculous. Um. So yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, so the other crocodile leaps out, grabs Hector, bites him, but that's when Hank immediately like blows it up. And then the crocodile that they did manage to subdue, we see it on the back of a truck with like a entourage of other trucks. I get this is a bit like Jurassic Park, a bit like
The
Lost World, isn't
dinosaur.
it? Lost World when he's bundled onto the ship at the end. And we could have easily had crocodile in the city. Crocodile in the city, whatever that
Add
song
it
is.
to the list, Andy.
That is sadly
That's
that is the
alligator.
entire
That's
plot of
alligator.
Alligator.
That is the plot of alligator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
They're taking it to Portland, Maine, as they determine what to do next. Just let it out. Just let it
Do they
roam
establish? Is it
free.
anything to do with this one in the sequel, or is it to do with what we see at the end? Well, one of the endings of the film, more endings of this film than Lord of the Rings. We get to see Betty White is out there feeding bread to lots more crocodiles,
Baby crocodiles eat bread.
sliced bread at that
But
as well.
sliced bread. She's gone. This
The
one
irony.
around. This one
A
around when I
new
was born.
a new invention, as far as she's
You have
concerned.
to tear fistfuls of it out and just eat that. So yeah, there's little baby crocodiles making sweet little noises, swimming around her feet. Um, and yeah, that's it.
Apart
That's the
from
moment that makes us
because we've
realize
only really had we've. Do we get a kiss out of these two, or is it just,
No,
was that not in their contract?
they
I
get
don't
in the
think we do.
car,
I
don't
think we
they?
get,
They almost kiss when she's stitching up his arm from the bear attack.
I think there the joke the thing is that Bill Pullman's character is never making a move. She's like giving him the opening and then he's not making a move, even to the point where
She comes. Does no one in Maine ever make a move? So he just moves his duffel
yeah.
bag over so she can get in.
Is that you making a move, moving your duffel bag over? Well, yeah, it's either you or the duffel bag, love. All right,
Yeah,
it's
and
one
it's
or the
because,
other.
and even then, even when it's established that they're, I guess, in love now, they they do say you're not going to complain the old bloody time when we go out for dinner,
I
are you?
always feel like in these films, right? You know, when people have been thrust into life or death situations and they end up coming out of it in love. I'm like, yeah, but what are you going to be like in just a normal run of the mill Tuesday? we're we're going to Aldi this week. It's busy. It's busy in there. Let's go.
Oh no, and also you do know each other's best story about that time
Yeah,
that man got his head bitten off, and
exactly.
then there was a bear.
this is why they're
Sick of it.
never together in sequels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if you're brought together by trauma, then it never bodes well.
but why?
It's true.
Why Die Hard and his wife always sort of have an on and off thing because they do have separate but connected adventures.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like that anyway. They were already on and off before Nakatomi Plaza, weren't they?
Yeah,
So there we go. Okay, but yeah, that is Lake Placid. Obviously, as we mentioned, there are a few sequels after that: Lake Placid 2, Lake Placid 3, Lake Placid the final chapter, which it isn't. Lake Placid versus Anaconda and a Lake Placid Legacy. Are you going to be a completionist and watch Legacy, Andy?
I might go back and watch a few of the others because I seem to remember them being fun.
If
Yeah.
you're into creature features,
Yeah,
they're worth going in. It's the same
Yeah.
with the Anaconda films, and
yeah, you've got to watch Anaconda, then Anacondas.
Hunt for the Blood Orchid.
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh yeah. How do
I
you feel
actually
about this?
it's
really
got
like
John Rhys
Anaconda.
Davis in it, hasn't it? He's like a
Yeah,
professor.
Is it?
he's playing the same character he always plays, like that kind of.
Yeah, and maybe I'm mistaken. Does Robert England turn up in one of these?
I think he does. I think it's the. I've got to finish the third one or the fourth one. David
How do you?
Yeah,
Hasselhoff turns up in one, I think.
Does he?
yeah.
Of course
Yeah.
he does.
So you see, we're gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go through
Robert
the Lake
England.
Placids and the Anacondas
Robert
until I can
England
do the crossover.
is in Lake Placid versus Anaconda.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's the
There he is.
Anaconda.
He's like a eye patch wearing like bounty hunter, I
Yes.
think.
Jim Bickerman.
Jim Bickerman.
Jim Bickerman. How do you, Neil? How do you feel about this Anaconda remake reboot with Paul Rudd and Jack
Jack
Black? And
Black. As long as it's got horror roots,
hmm,
I'm a bit like. I mean, Paul Rudd's a great actor, so I've got no problems there. But Jack Black always just plays Jack Black.
hmm,
But if you go back and look at, you look at the original, there's that kind of slight comedic
yeah,
undertone to it anyway. So I'm hoping it's going to be like well, essentially kind of like out Lake Placid, that kind of
hmm,
good cast with a sort of
yeah,
a horror film that these guys don't normally kind of do,
yeah.
but with fun in it. But um,
I I just want to see one of Jack Black or Paul Rudd get eaten alive and regurgitated, like John Voight did in
Is
Anaconda.
Jack Black going to be the new John Voight?
He's playing a Paraguayan, like
I mean, this is the
apparently had a
real dream of it, though. I guess doesn't matter how openly Hector in this film suggests he's going to have sex with any deputies. While John Voight exists in the first Anacondas film, this joint universe of films, he will never be the creepiest man.
no, exactly. He just snarls at people while they're putting their hair back. Oh, bloody hell.
but I'm kind of looking forward to it. I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of I loved Anaconda, so I was obsessed with Anaconda when it came out. I loved it. Um,
Yeah,
so I'm kind of hoping that this isn't going to be one of those
yeah.
kind of horrid reboots.
But then
But
again,
you can't
there's
have a
not
massive snake film and it not
horror.
have a horror element in it.
Yeah,
Surely.
it's not a laugh, is it? Terrifying. Okay, so now let's play a little bit of something called Name Game. Neil, should we explain to you how this works? So
Please, yeah.
essentially, we're going to give you a synopsis of a film that sounds a bit like Lake Placid, but based on our clue, you have to work out what the film's called. It will rhyme with Lake Placid.
Nominally so. Just
Nominally,
imagine our
so.
friends at the asylum are trying to trick people's grandparents into buying a knockoff of this film. What have we
Yeah,
Okay.
created here?
or in the same way we're talking about Snow White and the Seven Dwarf.
Yeah, exactly. Like a porn parody, except actually
Yeah,
this would work.
this first one would work. I've got one, but Andy, I'll let you take it. Go on.
No, you go for it. I've got plenty lined up
Yeah,
here.
yeah, okay, okay. So, this film, four people attempt to stop a gigantic crocodile who is terrorizing residents in Black Lake, Maine. I can't think about what kind of clue to give. The lake's bloody
Does Hector
freezing.
turn up?
What'd you say?
Does Hector turn up? But unfortunately, thankfully, he's not a threat to anybody.
No. But this lake's bloody freezing in it. You're getting that lake. I tell you what, your manhood is never returning to its former glory. It's gonna be soft. It's gonna be soft
Okay.
So this is, of course,
every day of
Lake
your life.
Placid.
It's Lake
Okay.
Placid,
Yeah, yeah,
correct.
Lake Placid.
Now,
Yeah.
if you didn't think that first, then you're wrong because there's not much else that rhymes with Placid, is there?
I've definitely leaned into the first word
Okay, that's good. I'm
of
glad you've
of
done that.
this one.
Go on.
In this film, a group of wildlife officials get together to try and stop a big old crocodile from eating everyone at at this park, and it turns out the thing that's driving the crocodile bloody mad, too many leaves on the bank. So you got to sort them out.
What, it's just
Rake?
rake Placid. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
Lake Placid. That's how you sort them out.
Too many leaves, mate, on the bank. You can't get to you. You can't go through the leaves.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you got to rake Placid to sort him out.
Four people attempt to stop a gigantic crocodile who's terrorizing residents in Black Lake, Maine. I don't know how to survive it in there though, because I went for a dip in that lake, and when I came out, all my skin had melted off.
Let's go Lake Acid.
Lake
It's
Acid.
it's bloody Lake Acid. Where are you going? I go for a dip in Lake Acid. Sounds horrible. Don't do that. Nah, I'll be fine. No, it wasn't. Andy.
Um, in this film, a group of wildlife officials go to investigate a big crocodile that's biting people's heads off, and it's because it's ever so angry. So Betty White gives them just a simple instruction to tell it to calm down.
Uh, is this the Lake of the Placid you've done?
It's the first word.
It's the first one. Tell
She
us to
just
calm
tells
down.
them, just like the orders that they've got. They get a little card from the boss, and it just says, tells them what they should do. It tells them what their objective is at very least.
I don't know.
Crocodile, colon. That's right, make Placid.
Oh, Lake Placid.
Yeah, there
Okay.
you go.
I don't know why I couldn't get that, Andy. I'm sorry. Sometimes the simple ones are the ones I struggle with the most, as you know.
Yeah, when I go for a deep cut from some program that only three people watched in the
I got. I
1980s, you
definitely
managed to
got.
pull it.
Definitely got the Placid bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the easy bit. Okay. Four people attempt to stop a gigantic crocodile terrorizing residents in Black Lake, Maine. And then everybody realizes, or someone says, there's absolutely no way we're going to be able to find this crocodile, no matter how big it is. Because have you seen the size of this lake?
Lake
Lake Massive.
Massive.
Lake's massive.
Yeah, Lake's Massive.
Lake's massive. Yeah, there we go.
In this film, a group of wildlife experts come together to find out what has been killing people in a big old lake. And they find out, having examined the tooth that they find in half a man, it's not actually a big crocodile at all, but a big white fish, more sustainable than cod.
Hake Placid.
Yeah, Hake Placid.
Hake Placid. That's a good one, isn't it? Big scary hake. More sustainable than cod.
Yeah,
That's
get
good.
that in your fish fingers if you want sustainable fisheries.
Yeah. Any more, Andy? I don't know if I got any more.
Not without either. Go on then. I've got one more.
Okay, go on.
In this one, a series of incidents cause a team of experts to be called in to deal with a situation of a horrible crocodile eating people. Unfortunately, due to an administrative error, rather than Bill Pullman and friends turning up, Mary Berry, Paul Hollywood, Brew Leith are the ones that are called in to be rude to each other and solve the problem.
To be rude to each other. Neil, do you want to take this one? I feel like you've got it. Like I said.
Let's go Cake Placid.
Cake Placid, I would also have accepted.
Would you, I
Bake
play
Placid.
a game? Is it croc or cake? Where you've got a crocodile, massive crocodile like that, and then someone cuts into it, and it's either a crocodile or a cake. If it's a cake, lovely. If it's a crocodile, horrible. You get to see a crocodile beheaded in front of you.
I mean, just in case you hadn't got enough of the name game, we know I love a creature feature, everybody. We know we
Yeah.
all love those.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've not gone for the obvious ones, but I've got a few more reptilian creature features here. Can you tell me whether it's crocodile or alligator?
Oh,
Yeah, I've got a 50-50 chance.
is the first one alligator, please?
It's not alligator. I've not done alligator.
Okay. This sounds like a
How
good
how
game.
about the film Rogue? This is
That is, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
is
sure
that the
that's alligator.
Australian one?
that is the Australian one with the director of Wolf Creek.
I'm going to say alligator.
Ah, it's a crocodile if it's Australia, isn't it?
Oh,
It's a crocodile. It's a saltwater crocodile, and
Hmm.
a little bit of extra trivia for you,
good knowledge.
based on a real thing, based on a real life saltwater
Yes.
crocodile.
Yes, I do.
Based on a real rogue.
Yeah, based on a real rogue. Next up, Eaten Alive, a Toby Hooper film.
Oh God, it's been a long time since I've seen
Are you
that.
going to alternate? If you're alternating, I'm going for alligator. I can't get two wrong in a row.
I think it's alligator.
It is a Nile crocodile.
Oh,
Oh, I'll give that then, mate. That's it.
I mean, bearing in mind when I was looking this up while we were talking in case we need another one, and it sounds like the maddest film from just the opening one. Look at this cold open. If you look at
Jesus.
the Wikipedia plot for Eaten Alive, after refusing a demand for anal sex from a customer named Buck.
Naive prostitute. Like a what? Naive. Have you
Can you
refused
imagine
me?
that?
Have you
You're
refused
walking
me?
away having had that kind of unpleasant exchange, and it gets worse. You get eaten by a Nile crocodile within a
Jesus.
sentence. How about Dwayne the Rock Johnson vehicle Rampage?
oh God.
Let's say crocodile again.
No, it's got to be alligator.
It's crocodile. Crocodiles are getting far more play.
I see through your game.
It's
I
a
see through
crocodile.
your game.
How about more recently, Crawl?
Oh, I knew you were going to say cruel.
Yeah, that is alligator, right? I'm pretty sure that's alligator.
That's got to be because it's set in supposed to be realism, and if you're talking Florida,
Yeah.
It is
alligator.
alligators. Very good animal knowledge. Steve Blackshaw's coming. Um, one more. How about Blackwater?
Blackwater. Oh, I'm gonna go for alligator, but I actually don't know.
No, again, could be either. I'll go Croc just to make it interesting.
Neil takes it. It's crocodiles. It's crocodiles for days in Hollywood.
Yeah, surprising, really, isn't it? What's the Resident Evil 2 one?
Now that's in a sewer.
Yeah, it is.
In what state is that meant to be in? It's like a northern state, right? It's like a mountainous state. I'm gonna go with it being a crocodile.
On the official Resident Evil wiki, it says alligator,
Well,
but a lot of people are referring to it as a crocodile as well. But apparently, it is. The very large mutant grew from a baby, and it just waited in the sewer for you.
maybe one of Betty White's ones.
It
But
probably
that's
would.
it though. That's all
There
the
we
games
go.
I've got for today.
That was good fun. Okay, now we've got to rate the movie. A to F. Pluses and minuses are allowed. Rate good or rate bad. How would you rate Lake Placid, Neil?
I think it's a solid C, like maybe a B minus or a C. It's like extremely good fun movie. The plot is ludicrous. It's quite hammed up. I mean, if you look at the reviews you read out, anybody kind of younger than like 28 is gonna probably hate this film because it's not the humor, the interaction between characters is not something that happens anymore. So anybody brought up around that time definitely enjoy it. I think it's a solid C.
Yeah, sometimes for good, sometimes for ill, because many would argue that you probably shouldn't tell people that you're planning to mate with someone, or
Oh, that shouldn't have happened back then, no. But
or tell an authority figure, I never told you that you're dead fat. No.
Dead fat. Um,
Other things though, it was just bants, wasn't it? Comedy was legal back then.
comedy was legal, but then you could tell someone they were fat. You could have a bit of Tom Jones on.
You could chase someone with a stick to hit them with it.
Yeah, it's fine. It was a laugh. 1999 was the promised land.
You could throw a
Um,
head at someone.
You can throw a head at someone, yeah, and then they fall in love with you. Oh wait, no, they weren't Bill Pullman. I'm gonna go for a C minus. I was, I was thinking like kind of C. I didn't have as much fun with it as I have had with other films from this era that we've covered on the show or like that I've watched recently. I don't know why it just didn't quite hit the mark. I don't know.
Were you missing finger sucking madman? John Voight.
Oh my God, yeah. The addition of John Voight, even though he's a twat in real life, the addition of John Voight as Paraguayan, what's his name?
Not Mateo, because that's his
I always
name.
go to say Mateo, but his name's not Mateo, is it? Um, But yeah, the addition of him is great because he's got a lovely, greasy, slick back ponytail. And just like, yeah, um, I can't remember what the character's name is, but uh, what am I forgetting? But yeah, it didn't. Paul Cerrone.
Paul Cerrone.
I'm not remembering that. Basically, our Anaconda episode, Neil, was just me and Andy, or was it mainly just me?
Mostly you doing his
Basically,
voice.
just doing Paul Cerrone's voice. Weird, hard to place accent of John Voight, where he's gone, "What am I? Paraguayan? Don't worry, got it. Don't worry." So yeah, I mean, just a C minus for me.
I'm gonna probably sit in a similar space to Neil. I'm gonna go a C plus on this one because yeah, whereas the CGI is a little bit wobbly these days, I do like the practical crocodile. I like the message that we get of actually sometimes if it's just an animal and not a monster, just cut it a bit of slack. Why don't you try and actually, live in harmony with nature for once in your bloody life?
Yeah.
I like Betty White is absolute, playing against her usual type. But some of the character that I think if you've heard much of many biographies of her was definitely something that I can imagine her having an incredible blast doing. Um, Genuinely funny. Yes, some of the bits are problematic with modern eyes, but I kind of love how
Do that.
snarky this film is. Um, and everything and it's just a good laugh. I love a creature feature. I'm a big sucker for one, and I will, despite the fact I know the quality takes a nosedive, go and watch some more of these.
Well, there are some films you watch and you get the impression that people had a blast making,
Yeah.
and I think this felt like one of those where it looked like people were having fun.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that is Lake Placid. Thank you so much for joining us, Neil. Where
So,
can our listeners keep up to speed with any projects you're working on online?
so Instagram and Facebook, I'm under Neil Fraser Graphics. Under X, I'm under Neil Fraser 78. If anybody's still left on there, Blue Sky, I'm under Neil Fraser Graphics again. So come find me there. I've got a website, Neil Fraser Graphics. I've also got a Shopify store if people want to purchase any of my work that I put out through there. And yeah, please stay in touch. I appear at a fair amount of appearances at conventions and festivals, so always love catching up with people. And
Nice.
Awesome stuff.
And most notably, again, if you're listening to this within the day or so of it coming out, I'll see you this very Saturday.
yes,
Yeah, we'll
yes,
see
looking
you
forward to it.
at Screens by the Sea this very Saturday, and that happens to be the episode that we'll be releasing next week, which will be similar, I guess, to our Fright Fest episodes where we discuss the films, but we are going to be there in person on the media wall talking to people who are attending the festival, but also filmmakers as well, and just having a lovely, lovely time, I hope.
Yeah. And we'll
You
don't worry,
you
everyone.
will
If you
be.
do see us, we're not going to be rude to you like the characters of this film.
Well,
Can you
speak for
imagine if
yourself,
we were?
Andy. Yeah.
People walk over. The state of youth.
We'll have Tom Jones blaring all day long.
Have
It'll
Tom
be
Jones
fun.
there. We just dancing to It's Not Unusual on a
Complimenting
loop.
people's chests as you dance with them. Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's just our
And
way.
you're not going to be able to just be careful if you're walking around because I will be setting up like snare traps around and just
Classic Andy
digging.
Conduit Turner, that
Oh,
is.
it's on the beachfront as well, Ben. I get in
it
there,
is.
dig some
Yeah,
pits just for
Yeah.
people to fall into.
So got to get those got to get those holes dug when you're at the beach.
it's pretty much next to the aquarium as well, so there may well be crocodiles
Oh
around
my
there.
God. Or an alligator. Who knows?
Maybe I know it starts fairly early in the morning, but if we can get the early bird special in at the Sea Life Centre, we'll go and see if we can get a picture done with some crocodiles.
Yeah, not a stingray. Still haven't
Yeah.
forgiven them. Thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast and Rusty Quill for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Threads. So please visit us over there and horrorhangout.co.uk for everything in one place. How lovely. But yeah, thanks again for joining us, Neil, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Have a good
Yeah.
one.
Thanks,
See you later,
everybody.
everybody. Bye for
See you
now.
soon. Bye bye.